Hi, I'm KA, Community Manager at Milky Tea, an indie game development studio based in Liverpool, UK. I'm here to introduce you to our most recent game, Hyper Brawl Tournament. The universe's greatest heroes have been summoned to compete in a showdown for the ages to find the next protector of the universe. Smash, brawl, and score your way to victory in relentless, high adrenaline PvP arena battles for 1 to 4 players. What does all that mean? Let's take a look. Before each match, players must choose their perfect loadout from 12 unique heroes across 3 different hero types, as well as 8 unique weapons that all allow for different tactics and styles of play. Every match plays out in a best of 3, with each round lasting 90 seconds. Your objective is to outscore your opponent, and if there's no clear winner when the time is up, the match goes into sudden death, and the first goal wins. You've got a number of tools to help secure your victory, but it's all about how you use them. Your most basic move is your throw. This is fused with an ability called Hypercurve that gives you complete control over the ball, allowing you to change its course mid-air. You can also pass the ball directly to your player or AI teammate, which allows you to quickly move the ball from one flank to the other. You're also able to perform a dive, which is ideal for intercepting the ball. Next up is combat. Beyond being able to knock out opponents by throwing the ball at full force, you're also able to both punch and kick. The punch allows you to attack in place, which is handy for trying to steal the ball at its current location. The kick, however, allows you to travel across the arena as you dish out the damage. Hyper Brawl is an arena-based sports brawler that you can play either alone or with friends. For new players, we've got 3 different training modes. The Trials teach you the core mechanics, the Advanced Trials test your skills and everything you've learned, and Free Play lets you practice without constraints. In Arcade mode, you can jump into heart-pounding local multiplayer matches for 1 to 4 players. On top of that, the party system allows you to invite your friends into private matches that let you take your rivalries online. If you want to play alone, the single player campaign lets you build your own team to compete in league and cup tournaments to become the greatest team in the universe. If you're looking for a real challenge and want to show off your skills, you can take on the world in the online Blitz mode, where you face off against friends and strangers alike, build your win streak, and brawl to top the worldwide leaderboards. Hypercurve is one of the game's core mechanics, and it lets you control the ball mid-air. Using this ability, every match becomes considerably less predictable and allows you to score a goal from pretty much anywhere in the arena, especially if your opponent didn't see it coming. The Hypercurve can be used anytime you throw the ball and allows you to control the ball's trajectory and around obstacles and players alike. Think of it like a superpower that keeps your opponent on their toes. The more power you add to your throw, the less control you'll have over the Hypercurve itself, so you must carefully consider how and when to use it. At times where the match may not be going your way, you can channel the Hyperforce, which gives your heroes superhuman power and the ability to launch their rivals out of the arena to help ensure a last-minute comeback. To acquire this ability, your heroes need to take damage, either from being attacked by an opponent, hit by a weapon, or knocked out by the ball. Once a hero has taken sufficient damage, they're able to activate the Hyperforce at a time of their choosing. If you would like to learn more, head on over to hyperbrawl.com or check out our social media channels. We'll be sharing additional Hyper Brawl deep dives in the weeks to come, leading up to our launch this fall on Steam, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. See you in the arena.
What do you think it's like here? Being a kid in the hospital. How do we feel? Are we all the same? No. We are each our own, different. Some of us are here for an hour, some of us, months. We all experience different things, but we all share one thing. We all just want to be kids. And that's where you come in. Because of you, we have a new way to play, a new way to make things better. And you helped us get just the right people to make it all happen, including one of the first gaming technology specialists in the country.
Every day I get to come into work and use technology to help kids feel better. This includes gaming on consoles, it also includes 3D printing, and even includes immersive technology such as augmented and virtual reality. Not only do we use this technology for fun, but we also get to use it to help kids get through treatments and for procedure supports so they can heal faster and get home quicker.
It feels like you're a kid again when you're playing video games.
Not only that, because of Child's Play, we also have the world's first child life medical director.
Not only do I get to help develop and manage these programs, I get to promote the mission of child life throughout Children's Hospital Colorado and the community.
And you help us figure out how to do all this even better.
We're conducting research on how we can use these new and emerging technologies to establish best practices to benefit our patients and families, to improve the experiences, and how we can leverage this technology in really fun and innovative ways.
So, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for helping us be kids. Thank you for helping us play. Thank you for helping us heal.
Come get some!
Is this all you got? some. All you got?
Hello, PAX Online. Dallas Kemp, Creative Director of Atomic Mass Games, back at you again with some painting and some fun for PAX. I hope you're all having a good time. I know we are. So, of course, painting miniatures, you got to paint the face, right? It's an old adage, you got to paint the face, you got to paint the base. So, I want to talk about painting faces. And we're going to do a very cool, very quick face paint with not quite washes, but we're gonna have fun and we're gonna let's just get to it. So let's try it out. So as you can see, I got a Black Widow here. Now I left the arms off so that because her arms on the miniature come straight out and gets in the way of the camera. And the next step I want to do, and this is what I normally do, is I take some of my base color, that base skin tone, and I mix a little red into it. I usually find like a nice brickish red, and I thin this down with a little bit of water, But this just adds that nice warmth that we like to see in faces. Now, any skin tone you do, you want to follow a lot of the same rules I'm going to be talking about here. So even if I were to go darker, I would still add a red undertone. If I was going to go lighter, like a very light tail skin, I would still add a bit of a red undertone. There's no one recipe to painting skin. Now I'm going to mix some water, and I just got a little palette over here. And this time I'm going to use a forest green, like a nice olive. I'm going to mix that once again into the base color that I chose. Now while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to take the green and the red without the base tone, mix them together, and I'm going to make like a really nice brown. Just a nice red brown. If you don't feel it's dark enough, you can add a little red, you can add a little green. Nice. So all that did was define those deep recesses. But now I want to define the top. So I'm going to take a little bit of my off-white. I like good off-whites. I don't like pure whites typically, unless I'm highlighting white. So I'm going to take off-white, mix it into my base tone, and I'm just going to pick out some highlights. Right there where the hair part meets, tip of the nose, just under the lip where the chin is, just to give it a little highlight. And this just defines the face much better and sharpens all those features. And once again, I'm just using the tip of the brush. Let me see if I can focus in just a little bit. There we go. So very quickly, I was able to achieve a great face to get on the tabletop and just to get playing. So hopefully that was helpful and informative and something that you can practice and try at home and get your miniature painted up and get it on the tabletop. So thanks for joining me, and we'll catch you later. Keep having fun at PAX, and we'll catch you later. Bye, heroes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rafael Bocamatzo, better known as Dr. B. I'm the clinical director of Take This, the first mental health nonprofit to serve the game community. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook at TakeThis.org. Well, our mission is to educate people on mental health topics, and that's what we're here to do today. We're going to talk about burnout, especially in creative professions. Now, we hear the term burnout all the time, but what is it? We hear about people working too hard and it leads to burnout, so they're exhausted, right? Well, burnout is more than that. If burnout was just about overwork, we could take a vacation and fix it. Yes, exhaustion from overwork is a big part of burnout, but the second part is a sense of ineffectiveness. You're not just overworked. You don't feel like you can do anything about it. You don't feel like you can hit your goals. You don't feel like you can, do really anything right in your job. More than that, there's a sense of cynicism that goes along with burnout. You just don't care anymore. You're not just overworked and don't think you can do anything about it. You don't care about your goals. You don't care about your fans. You don't care about even maybe why you started doing what you do in the first place. Nothing matters anymore. These three things together combine to create a chronic psychological condition that we know as burnout. But what do we do about it? Well, some common strategies are to one, take breaks. We have this myth, especially in creative fields, that if you're not constantly working, you're not going to make it or you're, going to lose your position. But the truth is, taking breaks actually makes your work better. The research is pretty clear on this one that taking breaks allows you to work more effectively. Another one, especially for those of us who are working at home, creating a sense of work-home separation. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Maybe it's only working during certain set hours. Maybe it's not answering emails outside those hours. Maybe it's having a separate workspace. I don't know. Try it out. Get creative for you. Figure out what works for you. A third thing, especially if you are doing what you love for a job, is having new things to do outside of work that have nothing to do with your job. For me, that's cooking. I love to cook, and it has nothing to do with video games, tabletop games, or mental health. I love it. Creating measurable goals can be an effective way of fighting that sense of inefficacy. Maybe you pick 3 things to do that day, and if you can hit those 3 things, everything else is just gravy. Maybe you create weekly goals. I don't know. Again, figure out what works for you. But finally, aligning your goals and your job with your values can help fight that sense of cynicism. If you're doing something that you're morally not aligned with, that can be a really hard thing to do. So change your content to meet what's important to you. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to check out takethis.org for more mental health information, and please enjoy the rest of PAX, everybody.
Hi, I'm KA, Community Manager at Milky Tea, an indie game development studio based in Liverpool, UK. I'm here to introduce you to our most recent game, Hyper Brawl Tournament. The universe's greatest heroes have been summoned to compete in a showdown for the ages to find the next protector of the universe. Smash, brawl, and score your way to victory in relentless, high adrenaline PvP arena battles for 1 to 4 players. What does all that mean? Let's take a look. Before each match, players must choose their perfect loadout from 12 unique heroes across 3 different hero types, as well as 8 unique weapons that all allow for different tactics and styles of play. Every match plays out in a best of 3, with each round lasting 90 seconds. Your objective is to outscore your opponent, and if there's no clear winner when the time is up, the match goes into sudden death, and the first goal wins. You've got a number of tools to help secure your victory, but it's all about how you use them. Your most basic move is your throw. This is fused with an ability called Hypercurve that gives you complete control over the ball, allowing you to change its course mid-air. You can also pass the ball directly to your player or AI teammate, which allows you to quickly move the ball from one flank to the other. You're also able to perform a dive, which is ideal for intercepting the ball. Next up is combat. Beyond being able to knock out opponents by throwing the ball at full force, you're also able to both punch and kick. The punch allows you to attack in place, which is handy for trying to steal the ball at its current location. The kick, however, allows you to travel across the arena as you dish out the damage. Hyper Brawl is an arena-based sports brawler that you can play either alone or with friends. For new players, we've got 3 different training modes. The Trials teach you the core mechanics, the Advanced Trials test your skills and everything you've learned, and Free Play lets you practice without constraints. In Arcade mode, you can jump into heart-pounding local multiplayer matches for 1 to 4 players. On top of that, the party system allows you to invite your friends into private matches that let you take your rivalries online. If you want to play alone, the single player campaign lets you build your own team to compete in league and cup tournaments to become the greatest team in the universe. If you're looking for a real challenge and want to show off your skills, you can take on the world in the online Blitz mode, where you face off against friends and strangers alike, build your win streak, and brawl to top the worldwide leaderboards. The Hypercurve is one of the game's core mechanics, and it lets you control the ball mid-air. Using this ability, every match becomes considerably less predictable and allows you to score a goal from pretty much anywhere in the arena, especially if your opponent didn't see it coming. The Hypercurve can be used anytime you throw the ball and allows you to control the ball's trajectory and around obstacles and players alike. Think of it like a superpower that keeps your opponent on their toes. The more power you add to your throw, the less control you'll have over the Hypercurve itself, so you must carefully consider how and when to use it. At times where the match may not be going your way, you can channel the Hyperforce, which gives your heroes superhuman power and the ability to launch their rivals out of the arena to help ensure a last-minute comeback. To acquire this ability, your heroes need to take damage, either from being attacked by an opponent, hit by a weapon, or knocked out by the ball. Once a hero has taken sufficient damage, they're able to activate the Hyperforce at a time of their choosing. If you would like to learn more, head on over to hyperbrawl.com or check out our social media channels. We'll be sharing additional Hyperbrawl deep dives in the weeks to come, leading up to our launch this fall on Steam, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. See you in the arena.
What do you think it's like? Here. Being a kid in the hospital. How do we feel? Are we all the same? No. We are each our own, different. Some of us are here for an hour, some of us, months. We all experience different things, but we all share one thing. We all just want to be kids. And that's where you come in. Because of you, we have a new way to play. a new way to make things better. And you helped us get just the right people to make it all happen, including one of the first gaming technology specialists in the country.
Every day I get to come into work and use technology to help kids feel better. This includes gaming on consoles, it also includes 3D printing, and even includes immersive technology such as augmented and virtual reality. Not only do we use this technology for fun, but we also get to use it to help kids get through treatments and for procedure supports so they can heal faster and get home quicker.
It feels like you're a kid again when you're playing video games.
Not only that, because of Child's Play, we also have the world's first child life medical director.
Not only do I get to help develop and manage these programs, I get to promote the mission of child life throughout Children's Hospital Colorado and the community.
And you help us figure out how to do all this even better.
We're conducting research on how we can use these new and emerging technologies to establish best practices to benefit our patients and families, to improve the experiences, and how we can leverage this technology in really fun and innovative ways.
So, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for helping us be kids. Thank you for helping us play. Thank you for helping us heal.
Come get some!
This all you got?
everyone, welcome to Goodnight Mr. Coconut, the rise and fall of Neopets. This is actually my second time running this panel, or I guess talk. The first time I ran this was back in February 2019 at a panel at a smaller convention in upstate New York. So yeah, it's been a while, but I've included some more information, not only just updating to the time between the information that I have from the stuff that happened after I first did this panel, but also some other things that I found out. Like, I think there was one thing that I found out like last week that I put in here because I thought it was interesting. There's also some smaller things that I forgot for some reason that are now in this panel, so it's a little bit more up to date. All the slides are mostly prettier and are in Montserrat font, which is my favorite font these days. Don't at me. I love that font. I use it on everything, including this. So without further ado, here we go. All right. So hi there. I'm a games industry community manager with experience across PC, console, and mobile games. I love all these things that I put here. So Dungeons and Dragons, I've been playing in a campaign since like April. It's like my first long-term campaign. I love that game. It's a lot of fun. I also love Supergiant Games. The thing that I'm known for that's not talking about Neopets incessantly is talking about Pyre and trying to get people to play Pyre, because that's like one of my favorite games. Please play Pyre, I'm begging you. Musical theater. So when there's not a pandemic going on, I like doing community theater stuff. That's a lot of fun. Cartoons, I love drawing them. I love watching them. Telling people random facts about Neopets is probably the one I'm the most... I don't want to say infamous. I can't think of the right word for it. But a lot of people know me for talking about Neopets a lot. It's kind of my brand. Actually, speaking of it being my brand, so I was playing Quiplash literally the day before I recorded this. And one of my friends, we were doing an in-jokes pack for our friend group. And one of the questions she put in was, Catherine has changed her brand from Neopets to blank. Which is hilarious because that's the one that showed up on my device. So I had to answer that. I think I answered Cats 2019. Please don't make my brand Cats 2019. But it's kind of become an integral part of my personal brand, and I wear that badge with pride. So anyway, before we get started, just quick, here are my pets. I do still actively have a Neopets account that I check in on every so often. What sort of self-respecting Neopets fan would I be if I didn't show you all my 5 beautiful children who I love very much. This is actually not the first account that I've played Neopets on. The one that I played on in my childhood unfortunately got hacked and frozen, which kind of sucks. But it is what it is. My fan fiction's still in the Neopian times. I'm not going to tell you where that is. You can find it yourself. It's not good, but it's still, you can't erase my original account entirely from the site because that stuff is still there, unfortunately. So yeah, let's go into, for all you who have never played Neopets before or are just vaguely familiar with it, wow, what's Neopets? So it's a children's site where you can own and raise pets. They cannot die, even in combat. Okay. I need to stress that enough. You can starve them to death, but you can't actually kill them. Don't starve your pets. Please feed them. It's currently making the Flash from HTML, or Flash 5 to HTML. I can't speak today. It's currently making the transition from Flash to HTML5. It's got a bad economy, which we'll talk about. It's got a very infamously messy stock market, but it's got a great newspaper. Except for the stuff that I wrote that I was just telling you about from the Neopian times. My fan fiction from, early high school. Alright, so the beginning. So the founders of the site are 2 people named Adam Powell and Donna Williams. So they were high school sweethearts that set out to make the site back in 1997 when they were in college in Wales together. Adam did the coding, Donna did the web design and art, and she claims that this is despite not knowing how to draw. And contrary to the popular belief that Neopets was intended to be a site for bored college students who didn't have a pet, there was no set demographic in mind when they made Neopets. It just kind of was a thing, they wanted to make it for fun. They just want a fun pet site. So together they formally launched the site on November 15th, 1999. So here on out, just to clarify, so on Neopets, they measure time in terms of like years since the site was made. So the first year of the site actually takes place in 1999, despite the fact that the site was made at the end of that year. And year 2 picks up at the beginning of 2020. Not 2020. That's wrong. The beginning of 2000. So just, I will put some dates like here and there interspersed in the presentation just so we have some general sense of what the actual time is. But for the sake of continuity, I'm going to measure it in terms of these weird years that they do. And there were 19 pets available at launch. The Aisha, the Kiko, the Chia, the Korbat, the Irie, the Kiri, the Jub Jub, the Lenny, I have a whole list of these, the Kachik, the Nemo, the Scorchio, the Cow, the Skeeth, the Bruce, the Mincy, which originally was some of these pets had different names and designs originally than what they ended up becoming, but the Mincy used to be called Mellish, and it was a crude drawing of one of Adam's friends. I don't think I have a picture of it in the presentation, but you can look it up later. It's great. The Usul, the Waki, the Tuscanini, and the Uni. So here are a bunch of those pets. There's also the Grindo on there. I don't think I mentioned that. We'll talk about the Grindo in a little bit. I love the Quiggle's dumb little face. It's just so delightful. So like I said, the years in the Neopets continuity are measured kind of weirdly. And we're just gonna go with this for the sake of continuity with how the site measures time. So year 2 is the year 2000, which is the first full year of the site. And yeah, they added all, like, a bunch of new pets and stuff. So there's, like, the Bloomaroo and the Techo and the Elefante and the Mohawk and all these fun friends here. But that's not the only thing that got added to the site. So if you know anything about Neopets, you've probably heard about this. But Neopets has some previous ties to Scientology, which is interesting. So if you're familiar with Neopets at all, you've probably heard about this. According to Wired, in January of year 2, a Scientologist named Doug Doring took an interest in the site and bought a majority share for a very large, undisclosed amount of money. We don't know how much. This is not the only time Neopets makes a deal where we don't know how much was involved in the transaction. But yeah, so Doug was a big fan of this thing called immersive advertising, which if you played Neopets in the early days, you've probably seen this firsthand. So, immersive advertising more or less is kind of product placement inside of the game world so that when kids leave the computer screen, they go to their parents and they're like, hey, I want to buy this thing I saw on the site, or this thing looked really cool from, like, they remembered it from when they played Neopets that day or something. Whether or not this is an ethical way to market a product is debatable, but Doug's interest in this technique helped shape the site in its earliest days. So again, like, if you played Neopets in the early 2000s, you've probably already witnessed how this kind of intersperses in the world. So, like, this screenshot's an example. I think the movie theater is probably also a very good example. There were some tie-in games as well, that were, like, sponsorship deals and stuff. But there's one other change that he made that was a very smart idea because it kept Neopets from getting sued. So basically, like I mentioned before, some of the pets on the site had different looks and appearances and stuff. Some different names as well because they were pop culture references. And Doug was like, we got to get rid of those because I don't want to get sued. Which, I mean, no one wants to get sued. So he pushed the Neopets team to change these things. So one good example is the Bruce, which you probably know as this cute little penguin guy. But originally he was just a caricature of this guy named Bruce Forsyth, who's a British entertainer. And then they were like, yeah, you gotta change that. So he kept the name. It's still a Bruce. It's still the Bruce, but it's now this cute little penguin with a bow tie, which can't really argue about that. Penguins are cute. And then now we're going to get into the infamous Neopets stock market, which is another thing where if you know anything about Neopets, you've probably heard a little bit about the Neopets economy. So the Neopets economy has a reputation for being a bit of a mess, but was it always set up to be this way? You know, it had some pretty rocky beginnings, so yeah, so in the earliest days of the Neopets stock market, it is announced in July of the year 2000, year 2. And then exactly a month later, it launches. And then things aren't looking that great at the beginning. And then this guy named Nigel the Chia saw things heading south and tried to fund the stock market with his own personal money because clearly that's a great idea and nothing could possibly go wrong. And then it goes wrong, and the first crash in the Neopet stock market happens in year 2 on December 5th. And then the stocks drop a whopping 94% this first time, and the year ends with another stock market crash on New Year's Eve. So this probably wasn't aided by the short-lived bank loans feature that the site had for a few months, but then the team got rid of it because it was like entirely broken and easy to exploit, and it was like, I don't think that probably helped. It was probably a smart move to get rid of loans. But yeah, so Neopet stock market it had some pretty rocky beginnings, and you can kind of feel that in the later years of the site and stuff. We'll talk about this again in a little bit. And then there's the first site plot. So these site plots were kind of regular occurrences to expand upon the world building on Neopets, as well as to introduce new site features, and as we'll see later, like new map designs and stuff. We're not going to talk about all of them. We're just going to talk about a few of these. Some of the more integral ones, some of the earlier ones. So in the first one, this weird alien dude named Dr. Sloth shows up to abduct Neopets and then turns them into mutants. So he tries to capture the space fairy Mira in the middle of trying to push this plan forward. And in order to free her, all the users on the site had to free 20,000 of these little alien monster pets called Grundos, which we saw a few slides back. He gets close to making his evil dreams come true, but then Mira is freed in the nick of time and then stops his weird mutant ray thing. And then Sloth is presumed dead at the end of everything, but he actually gets another plot a bit later. So he was never actually dead. He just kind of did his thing. And a fun fact is that Sloth is actually Adam, one of the site's co-creators' favorite villains in the site lore. So some other fun facts about year 2, the site actually grew pretty unexpectedly quickly, and they were constantly doing maintenance and upgrades to the servers as a result. Also, because of the big investment that Doug Doring had put into the site, they were able to move the whole team to Glendale in California. And then, yeah, some other things that were added were the guilds feature, which is kind of this... I mean, it's kind of, if you're familiar with online gaming communities, it's basically just like a big conglomerate of people who have the same interests who are playing Neopets and stuff. There's like its own special message board inside of each guild and stuff, and all pretty good things. And then there was also this weird feature called NeoCam that they had for a while, and then they've since discontinued, where it would basically stalk team members in the office. So this is a screenshot, or this is an image I found on Google of one of the NeoCam images, but it would just be throughout the day. It would take pictures of people across the office and then post it to the site so you could see what they were doing. It was wild. But yeah, so at the end of the first year of the site, 5 million accounts, 6 million Neopets. Also, one more thing, so Neopian Standard Time was a thing that was introduced. So when the team moved to Glendale, the site was kind of like, they picked a standard clock to follow for in-game events and stuff that was based on Pacific Standard Time. So if you look at the clock in the corner, you'll see that the clock correlates to Pacific Time. All right, so year 3. So with that, Neopets started out as an overwhelming success. So let's see what the site did in year 3. We got pets. We got new pets. We got Chambi, we got Pateri, and we got the Mircia. I don't know how to pronounce these. I think it's Mirka. But yeah, we got pets. We got another plot. A guy dies. Rest in peace. So basically it's a murder mystery plot where you're trying to find out who was the culprit behind the murder of King Coltsan. The earlier Neopets plots in particular were a little bit more off the walls. Not to say the later ones weren't good, the later ones were really interesting. But yeah, F's in the chat for Coltsan, rip. There's another plot where there's a war. The cavemen go to war. It's called the Tyranian invasion plot, and this is what introduces the Chambi, which we saw a few slides back, and the area of Tyrania. This is the first plot to use the Battle Dome as a gameplay mechanic for moving the plot forward. There's a lot of war plots in the very beginning of the site in particular, but some of them do like a hybrid approach where there's some puzzles, there's some reading a comic, and then there's some Battle Dome section too. But in the very early days, a lot of them were wars for some reason. 2 more areas are added, so we have Fairyland on the left and Croc Island on the right. We'll talk about Fairyland a little bit more later because there's some weird stuff that happens with it. There's also stuffed animals now, so the first line of Neopets merch is also released. I think they released them at, like, Limited 2 or something. I had some of these when I was younger. I think I got one at, like, Borders, I forget. I had the one in the top right. I definitely had that one somewhere. I don't know if I still have it. But they were cute. They were cute. I mean, some of the earlier ones, not so much, but the later ones got really good. And then there's another stock market crash. So it wouldn't be another year on Neopets without another financial disaster, and the site crashes once in June and another time in November. And now we're at year 4. So we are at 2006 now. More pets. Say hello to the Drake, the Tonu, the Ixie, and the Croc. They got these cool friends here. And there's more war. There's more war. So Meridell's fighting against the forces of Lord Darrigan, who's this weird gothy dude. You can look him up later. So Darrigan wins, but we'll talk about this again later because we're not done with him. And then there's some rumors about this place called Jelly World. I think those rumors are fake. Stop asking about it. It's not real. Jelly World doesn't exist. Anyway, the next slide, this year's finance report. The Neopets economy continues to be a mess as inflation causes lower cost items to spike in price. Also, the tax beast is added as a character on the site to make sure your innocent little Kachik doesn't try to commit tax fraud. Also, I just realized, I think I said this was 2006. This is 2002. I can't do math. So we're in 2002 right now. But yeah, so your Kachik can't commit tax fraud. I'm sorry to hear that. If you were looking forward to doing that, you'll have to talk to Yoshi. I don't know. Anyway, now we're in year 5, where there are no new pets. There are no new pets, but we'll see some more later. We do get 2 more lands, so I guess that's gotta mean something. So we got, on the left, we've got Rue Island, and on the right we have Kiko Lake. We also have the first issue of the Neopets magazine releasing this year. I don't have them on me because I'm not at home right now recording this, but I do have, like, copies of this because I had a friend who found them, like, at some, like, thrift store or something. They're really cool looking. It wasn't a very widely distributed kind of thing. It was only a few issues, really. But it's really cool looking. If you ever get your hands on a copy, I think you can get them on eBay. And yeah, we have a trading card game that they made in collaboration with Wizards of the Coast. It was a really cool looking game. I never actually got to play it because I had no friends who played Neopets as a kid. But the art on the cards was, like, really nice. And I don't know. I wish I knew where my cards were because I really liked mine and there were some really nice ones. They also came with, like, little codes you could redeem for items on the site, which is pretty cool. I got a really nice one once that was like, could have sold for a lot more. I sold it for enough to buy a baby paintbrush because I was a dumb child. But yeah, I mean, you can get some really nice items from those card codes too, which is pretty cool. There was an April Fool's Day joke that turned the site into this totally radical early 2000s layout for like a hot second. It pretends to also get rid of whatever is left of the economy, so we were robbed of a completely anti-capitalist Neopets thanks to this April Fool's Day joke. This page is actually still live for some reason. You can look it up if you really want to see it. Some other things. Pets are a thing. Pets randomly turn blue when sad. This doesn't happen anymore. They stopped this a few years back. It would also be that, like, pets would randomly turn red when angry, I believe, too. But this was a thing starting in this year that, thankfully, they don't do anymore. Because it could happen to any pet. And then, like I said, Darrigan's back. He tries and fails to destroy Neopia. And now he's out of here. See ya later, man. Donna also becomes the root canal champion. I think this was like something Adam added to the site because Donna had to get a root canal or something, which is pretty cute, I guess. And then a glitch also resets user stats for a hot second. Oops, that's not great. Year 6, happy birthday! It's Neopet's 5th birthday, at the end of this year. So that's pretty cool. There's also 2 more pets added this year. So we got the Bori, which is the blue guy on the left, and the Rookie, who's the green guy on the right. War. It's more likely than you think. That nasty boy Darrigan is back with a vengeance, and Meridel finds itself going to war for a second time. This time, however, Darrigan actually gets overthrown. So, see ya. See ya, loser. Some other fun things. So there's the Hannah and the Ice Caves plot, which happens. There's a game that also comes out of that you can still play on the site. Pep morphing potions are introduced and then later deemed a quote-unquote mistake. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to ask questions. And also really excitingly, 10 million pets have been registered on the site. So this is the site's really starting to blow up here, if it wasn't already before. And now we're going to get to the fun stuff. Y'all ready for this? You probably also have heard about this. Viacom buys Neopets in 2005 for a whopping 160 million US dollars. Viacom says that Neopets kind of fits in the same vein as their other kid-friendly content. So, I mean, Viacom's the people who own, like, Nickelodeon and stuff, for example. And they also really like Doug Doring's immersive marketing tactics. So he and some of the other upper management ended up staying after the transition. And of course, Adam and Donna also stayed going into this. There was also a movie at some point. So Warner Bros. Announced in 2005 that there would be a CG Neopets film that didn't actually end up releasing, which is unfortunate because the guy who created Jimmy Neutron was supposed to direct it. And no one knows why it didn't get made. I'm really sad that it did not get made because I would have watched the hell out of this. I love Jimmy Neutron. And also Neopets, so like that would have been really cool to see. Unfortunately, it never actually got made. There was also a PlayStation 2 game that came out. I never got to play it because I was a pretty hardcore Nintendo kid. I heard it's okay. Hope I get to try it someday. But, yeah, this is probably the bigger game release that they had. Hold on, I'm going to take a drink. It was probably one of the bigger game releases that they had. There were some other games for, like, the DS, and we'll later talk about the mobile games that they made. But this was probably one of the bigger ones and worth noting. Some other stuff, so mods can suspend accounts now. They get the good old suspension hammer in their moderation tool belt. Speaking of tool belts, there's a Neopets toolbar that's introduced to the site as like a downloadable thing that you can get for your web browser. The Pet Lab opens, so there's a thing called the secret lab on Neopets that you can buy map pieces for, and when you get access to that, you can send your pets over to be zapped by the ray once a day, and when you do that, their stats kind of get changed, and they can change entire species and colors. There's some exclusive colors you can only get from the lab ray. But when you also make this map, you get access to the Pet Lab after you make that map, which is unfortunate because the Pet Lab map is a lot cheaper than the actual lab map, which can cost you millions of Neopoints. But yeah, just a little bit of background on that. There's also the Lost Desert plot, which you can see some lovely art from Claire Hummel over here on the side. And then we've got some new pets. So we've got the Sweetalk, we got the Ogryn, and we got the Hissy. I will talk about the Sweetalk and I think the Ogryn in a little bit, but I love the Sweetalk. They're really cute. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but I like them. And now we're in Year 8, so the Neopets world map finally gets a long overdue facelift. So here we see it's a lot cleaner. You can rotate the globe because there's a lot more locations that get added over time. It definitely reflects better the expansion of the site and the universe that they built. We've also got more pets. So we got the Norbu on the left and we got the Lutari on the right. Lutaris are a real pain to get. So they were introduced with a mobile game that came out a while back. Like, I think the only way you could adopt one is if you had that game. It doesn't exist anymore. It's one of those super old mobile games. But Lutari are also really annoying to get because you can't disown them, you can't transfer them, and they very rarely go up for creation in the create a pet screen. Usually the way that it works with limited edition pets is sometimes on their birthday, the pet's birthday, they'll release a limited quantity of them to create on the site, but not always. And Lutari are really annoying to get. So really your only other options outside of that are either get a morphing potion or hope you get lucky with the birthday thing. I actually did get one a few years back, if you saw in the earlier slide, from a birthday create a pet thing. I remember my friends and I were like all frantically messaging like, Lutaris! You can make Lutaris now! It was crazy. I think I got people who like didn't even really play Neopets that much to be like, I need to get this pet. And also, there were a bunch of plots. So these plots lead to the discovery of 2 new lands. So Shenku and Neovia were added to the map. One of these plots that came out this year is actually still playable, which is the Altador mini plot, which, I mean, it's pretty cool. It's like the only side plot you can still really play the entire thing all the way through. Some of it uses star charts. It's wild. It's definitely something worth checking out if you have some free time during the pandemic to play Neopets, which is still available and free. Year 9, get ready for some sad stuff. So, our friends Adam and Donna, this year will part ways with Neopets. So they cited a lot of lack of control over business operations for the site. They were still very involved with the creative parts of it before they left. They were also feeling extremely burnt out because they put a lot of time and effort into the site for like, what is this, year 9? Like 7-8 years at this point. So they were tired and they wanted a break and they decided, all right, time to pack my bags and move away. So a fun fact, Donna actually admitted in an AMA on Reddit that she had accepted the Sweetalk and the Ogryn designs out of spite because she was frustrated with her experience working on the site as the years went on. And she just accepted them because despite the fact she hated them, she was like, fine, if you're going to be like this, I'm just going to accept these terrible pet designs. But joke's on her because the Sweetalk is like I said, one of my favorite pet designs. It's really cute. I don't know how you could accept that out of spite. But I understand. Yeah, I was sad to see them go. They were a really big part of making the site what it is, you know. The site also gets a facelift. So this is how the site looks now. I don't know. We're starting to see some changes as the site transitions into mobile, which we'll talk about a bit later at the end of the presentation. But this is how it looked for a good chunk of the site's history. More updated. The stuff on the side is moved to the top of the bar and stuff. Yeah. Neopets. And then... Oh, right. There's an animation for this one. The site begins toying with this fun little thing called microtransactions. So, this is in addition to the premium service they had already been offering for a while. But this kind of led to its primary function, which was to allow you to customize your pet's appearance. So you could buy clothing. Some of it's really cute, honestly. Some of it's animated. You can also buy some clothing items with Neo points. I think that was added a bit later. I don't think that was at launch. The fan base was generally pretty divided about this, as gamers usually are when it comes to microtransactions. But yeah, I mean, this is an older screenshot of my pet. I probably should have gotten a new one. This was before I painted her fairy. And then there was also this thing called NeoVision, which was a very short-lived, like, kid-friendly Neopet-specific YouTube that was added. So, there were a lot of fan animations. They had some, like, in-house made animations to promote things like the Daily Dare, which is an ongoing kind of recurring event that they have on the site. Yeah, I mean, the ones that they posted from the Neopets team were actually pretty decent, too. It goes offline in October of 2009 in year 11, so unfortunately you can't watch anything that was up there. A lot of people did archive theirs on YouTube, though. I think if you want to see the kind of stuff that got posted there's one called Crackers in My Pocket you can look up. I definitely remember that one from when that was a thing on the site. I also had something up here too, but again, I was a dumb baby and I did not think to back this stuff up when I was little. So that animation unfortunately got lost to the ether. Something about my pet getting like stomach cramps in the swimming pool or something. Also, you can finally achieve your dreams of poking a meteor with a stick. And now we're in year 10. So this is where we see the opening of Pet Park, which is a short-lived game about pets, obviously. You can adopt them, you can hang out with them. I think it had like MMO elements too, where you could see other pets walking around. I forget, it's been such a long time, but yeah, it didn't last more than a few years, but it was cute. It had some really nice art. We see the addition of the game Key Quest, which is kind of like a digital board game inside of Neopets. I think like some merch items that would unlock, like tokens you can use in the game and stuff. It lasted a lot longer than Pet Park, but it was sadly sunset in year 16, 2014, which is sad. It was a pretty long running thing. But it was announced in 2018 there would be a mobile version of it. I just couldn't find any news on them following up with that, which, I mean, understandable. They're working on a bunch of other mobile games right now, so we'll talk about those later. And that brings us to year 11, where we find another location on the map called Motara, through the Atlas of the Ancients plot. I think you can still do some parts of this, like finding the magma pool and stuff. It's like a fetch quest where you have to kind of, like, poke around the map to find these little worms. I don't think I ever finished this on my new account because I couldn't find one specific worm, but someday I will find it and it'll be all over for you. And we also see that Fairyland and Terror Mountain get makeovers. So we'll talk about Fairyland again right now. So about Fairyland and makeovers, F's in the chat for Fairyland because it gets yeeted into the ground by an evil Zweetok through the Fairy's Ruin plot, which I really love that plot. It was really good. The comic for that's like really nice looking. This is the slide from the beginning of the presentation. I kind of doctored this image from it to make the opening of the presentation. But this is an actual slide from that comic, like an actual panel from that comic. It was really nice looking. We're not talking about that though. We're talking about how like Fairyland's like in the ground, literally like a year after being renovated, completely redone for the site. So yeah, friendship ended with Sky Fairyland. Now Ground Fairyland is my new best friend. Fairyland then gets redesigned again. And despite the site constantly suggesting that Fairyland would go back to the sky, I don't think it actually ever did. Like, it's been like 10 years at this point. I don't think it's gonna happen. But, I mean, New Fairyland looks nice. I like the earthy kind of feel, you know? Get it together, Fiora. And now we're gonna get into probably one of my favorite tidbits of Neopets history. I'm going to take a drink real quick first because there's a lot of talking on this one. So, this is what my panel is named after. There was one meme that came out of the site through issue 442 of the Neopian Times, where someone asked the editor about, I think it was like, do you actually hand curate all of the winning entries, like all of the entries that people can vote for in the caption contest that they run? And they were like, I mean, we could randomly pick some, and they randomly picked a few, with one of them being, I'm just gonna read it, but it's for this image that's on the right. Ah, Mr. Snecky, I see you are wearing your fan's top. You are wearing yours too, Mr. Coconut. Speaking of coconut, where did you get the flying hat of coconut? What coconut? Oh, that coconut near my head. What a coconut on my head. Boom. Ah, my head. Good night, Mr. Coconut. There was definitely at least one item where they referenced this again later. But I think this is probably like the biggest meme to have come out of this little place on the internet, you know? It's a classic meme. It's a good meme. And then there was another game that was released called Astounding Habitarium. So this was a super easy way to get money. Which also causes some problems down the line. The Neopets economy, like I said, the Neopets economy kind of set the framework early for it to not be great in the future. It doesn't last very long. Habitarium's eventually removed in year 16, which is 2014. And now we're in year 13. Fairy quests are back, baby! The fairies were frozen in stone during the Fairies Ruin plot, but then they came back, and then when they were like, oh no, Fairyland's in the ground, we need to rebuild, the quests are kind of given an overhaul, so you can there's like a better hub for it. They do some events eventually throughout the site where you can get fairy quests every single day for a limited time. And then a Neopian, or an NC Mall Neocache tie-in fairy was added. So this is like related to the microtransactions I was mentioning earlier. Her name's Delina. She's added, and her whole thing's about buying like crafting components with Neocache. You can get some pretty nice items with hers, but I mean, they cost money, like real money. And then the Wheel of Extravagance is added for the Neopian 1%. I think this was like introduced as a way to kind of try to help with the inflation problem on Neopets. It's generally not worth it, but if you have 100k Neopoints to spend, sure, I guess, you can get an avatar from it, but it's a pretty expensive avatar to get because there's no guarantee you can get it on your first spin. So, good luck! I don't think it's worth it, but if you wanna, you can go for it, I guess. Anchor management's a thing, so it's a new daily where you go and you try to quell this giant kraken that's underneath Croc Island to make sure it doesn't destroy Croc Island. I don't know why I don't have notes on this. I could have sworn I had some speaker notes on this, but alright. And I'm gonna skip like 2 years because not a lot really happens in those 2 years. And I'm running out of time because I've got like 20 minutes left. So you've probably heard about this. Most recently, Neopets was acquired by Jumpstart in year 16, which is 2014. Jumpstart buys the site from Viacom for an undisclosed amount of money. We don't know how much. Says they're really interested in expanding to mobile and optimizing the player experience. And they do kind of uphold this because the site has been making the transition to mobile and they've been releasing mobile games and stuff. They were supposedly interested in toying with AR and VR stuff, but I don't think they ever did anything with that. I don't know if they still plan to do stuff with that. Who knows? Also, I had to include my favorite Jumpstart, arguably the best Jumpstart edutainment game, Jumpstart Third Grade, on this slide. But meanwhile, beloved staff member and creative director Snarky makes the hard decision to step down after 12 years of working on the site. So if you were ever really involved with Neopets, you've probably heard her name before. She was a pretty big deal. And, like, the Neopet staff in general were kind of introduced in a very humanizing, kind of fun way. But Snarky's one of the ones that was better known on the site of the staff members. So her leaving was really sad to a lot of people. She confirmed on Tumblr after she stepped down that she actually intended on playing Neopets beyond leaving the site. Although I don't think she's allowed to use her old... I think, like, they memorialized her old username, so she can't actually log into it or anything. But this comic was given to her on her last day of work there, which was a nice sentiment. Also, there's a new pet. I didn't include this in the first version of my presentation for some reason, but... So, the Vandergeyer is added to the site. It's the most recent pet to be added in the site's history. I don't think they've added any more since then. And now we're in year 17, where, early in the year, a majority of the Neopet staff gets laid off, which unfortunately is not super uncommon for the games industry. But layoffs don't usually involve this large of a percentage of the overall team. I think Neopets was, like, at its peak, like, over 100 people, and it got reduced to, like, a very small fraction of that. And then you've probably heard about this. On June 29th of this year, the profanity filter goes offline, the mods are asleep, and people start posting a lot of not safe for work and bigoted content in the Neo boards. I can't really post any of this because it's really inappropriate and probably is not safe for work at all for this panel. So here's a picture I got from a BuzzFeed article about it. BuzzFeed affectionately calls this day the Neopets died. And the Neopets team responded to this incident by taking the Neo boards off for a bit while they fixed things. It caused a lot of negative sentiment and press. There's also a new mobile game at this point. So here's Ghoul Catchers. It's a match 3 game that got released. It's very easy to farm Neo points from this too. You can get like 50k Neo points a day from this game. It was a pretty solid game though. I don't remember it being like bad. There's also legal problems. So this is the thing I found out about like last week from like, I was scrolling through Tumblr and I heard about this. In October 2015, so year 17, Neopets was hit with a class action lawsuit because the site wasn't very transparent in its terms and conditions about its premium renewal policies, like its automatic renewal policies. And this caused a lot of people to lose a lot of money, and a lot of parents to lose a lot of money for their kids. So it wasn't great. There was a class action lawsuit regarding it. And LawyerBot, our friend over here, who's an actual Neopets character, is on the case. And good news, because in year 18, they resolved the class action lawsuit. It's resolved in April 2016. It was resolved very mutually between both parties. That's about as much information as I have on it. I can't believe I missed this the first time I made this panel. And we're gonna skip to year 20, where a new mobile game called Legends and Letters is released, and Legends and Letters is announced. It's not actually released this year, but a mobile version of Neopets is also announced, and we don't start seeing that until more recently, which I'll talk about in a little bit. The mobile version was supposed to complement the site, but not actually replace it. I'll talk about this a little bit later, I feel like. Legends and Letters was originally due in October of this year, I believe. We'll get back to this in a little bit, though, because it doesn't release till next year. There's also, for the first time, at not New York City Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, they start doing after-parties, like Neopets-themed after-parties. So they've done 2 since then. I bet there probably would have been a 3rd one, but fortunately, conventions did not happen in person this year. But yeah, so at San Diego Comic-Con 2018, they host their first after-party, which is pretty cool, honestly. And now we're going to get to year 21, where Legends of Letters finally soft launches on mobile January 15th. So this means they began a phased rollout of the game in certain countries just to see how it does before they expanded it to the rest of the market. It's pretty common in mobile games. It's not really an unusual sort of thing. So the soft launch happens on February 15th, and then a mostly global launch happens on February 28th, but the game doesn't release in the Netherlands and Belgium for some reason. I could not find a reason why. I guess it might have been legal reasons or something. But by the end of the year, the game will let you log in with your Neopets account so you can earn trophies and stuff too. So it didn't launch with Neopets integration, but it did eventually launch with that as an option. Also, I couldn't find a good second slide to put this on, so I'll bring it up here. In November, the site would also start letting users create up to 6 pets, or 7 if you have premium. So you can have a lot of pets on Neopets now. And now that brings us to the present. We're actually doing great on time. So the present, that's right now. So remember that Neopets April Fool's Day prank? Well, it's back. Say hello to Nick Neopia, who has weaseled his way back onto the site as everyone's favorite ideas guy. So he proposed a new site redesign with suggested changes, including all text will be displayed backwards. Links will take you to who knows, it'll take you somewhere. It was like random. And then games, but in 13 dimensions. I don't know what that means. But yeah, our boy's back. Also, Neopets announces its a beta for its mobile-friendly site redesign, which we had just talked about a few slides back. It starts as a closed beta in April and then recently opened as an open beta in June. And the site's been kind of going through like ongoing updates to that mobile-friendly site. And the site's also starting, like, even on desktop, it kind of adopts the same sort of mobile-friendly layout. But yeah, it's still a work in progress. It's probably a matter of time till the whole thing gets converted to this mobile-friendly format because Flash is getting retired very soon. Rest in peace, Flash. There's also a new mobile game that I had not heard anything about. It released on, it was first a closed beta on Android in May. And then on July 8th, it released only on Android. I believe they said that iOS is on the way. It's a game called Neopets Island Builders. I mean, from the screenshots I saw, it looks pretty cool, but I know absolutely nothing about it because I am an iPhone user. Also, back to mobile games. Legends and Letters and Ghoul Catchers both are announced to be retired. So they were very recently pulled, like last month on July 22nd. But if you still have either game downloaded, you can still play them and redeem like Neo points and stuff with your account until December 31st at the end of the year. So you can still play them. You just can't download them on the storefronts anymore. They're already gone. And then Neopets merch, expensive. In celebration of San Diego Comic-Con, Neopets partnered with nerd jewelry site What's Your Passion Jewelry to make some fancy Neopets necklaces, which come with this code for like an in-game item as well. There was also a bit of controversy because some people noticed that the Shoyu necklace had been stolen from someone's fan art, but they've since addressed the situation with the artist, I believe, and now they're being credited on the store page and also the Neopets site as well. And the future, who knows? I mean, I'm recording this a month before it airs, like roughly a month before it airs. So, for all I know, something big could happen in the next few weeks that's not in this panel. So if that happens, I apologize. But it's going to be really interesting to see how the site evolves from here, to see if maybe the transition to mobile makes it a bit more accessible for people to play. I mean, people aren't really going much of anywhere these days, but I remember when I was younger, like trying to access Neopets on my phone was like near impossible. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that changes the site's community and climate and stuff, if it brings back old members of the site. But it's hard to tell at this point. All we know is that they have to convert the site to mobile soon, or else convert the site to a more web-friendly format soon, or else we're going to lose it. But it looks like they're on their way with that. Yeah, so we'll see. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. Final thoughts. I love doing this panel the first time. I can't believe that I get to do it again. Neopets has like the most bizarre and fascinating site history, and it's been really fun spending this time getting to know this integral part of my childhood so much better. Neopets really laid the foundation for me becoming a community manager, so I don't think I realized it at the time. Obviously, I studied art in college, and then I graduated, and then I started doing CM, so like I don't think I considered though how important Neopets was to getting me interested in that, because like it was the first online community I was really a part of growing up. Yeah, and I'm so glad that I got to run this panel again. So to round things off, I just want to give some special thanks. I mean, obviously to the people at ReadPop for accepting this. I still can't believe that this got into PAX Online. I can't wait to watch it with all of you in the chat when it airs. Special thanks to Jelly Neo, who has like this ridiculously updated like summary of the site history. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff that I pulled from other sources as well, but they were really good for getting like smaller like site details and such. And they also had like the screenshots for that one new mobile game that I had a few slides back. The fan sites are a great resource if you ever want to learn more about Neopets, honestly. Neopets user R and I Pretty, Discord user Kiana from the Neopets, the R Neopets Discord, the Neopets Wiki, another great resource for Neopets history and lore and stuff. The Neopets team for making Neopets in the first place. And yeah, you want to hear me talk about Neopets and other stuff that isn't just Neopets? You can follow me on Twitter at LitFacArt. So, yeah, I tweet about a lot of different things on my Twitter, including Neopets, obviously, community management, drawings of many things, but mostly just my D&D character, pictures of food, memes, and if you liked this, I actually moderated a panel back at PAX East this year called From Glitter Graphics to Game Dev. You can find it on YouTube. It's got a bunch of really awesome women in the games industry talking about their experiences with online games in the early 2000s, including games like Neopets. It's a great watch. I definitely recommend it if you're interested in seeing me talk to people about Neopets more, I guess. Although I guess in this case it's more listening to people talk about Neopets and also other games. It's great. Look it up. It's a good time. And yeah, thank you for watching. I really appreciate you all coming, and I'm glad I could share all this with all of you once again. I hope you have a great and very safe day, month, year. Wishing you the best in the rest of 2020, and I want to thank you again for just watching. I appreciate it. Have a good day. See you around.
We've recently had a shift. Both Child's Play and the medical community has recognized an unfilled niche where we needed some additional expertise in the hospital to help us deploy everything that they've provided, and they've started to help us develop a brand new role within medicine, that of the gaming technology specialist. These are people who have expertise in gaming, in technology in general, knowing how to set things up, keep them updated, but also have expertise working with children and work hand in hand with our child life specialists.
We
can't afford to support 250 of these positions across the U.S., but we can support 5 or 6 or 7 a year, get them started, and then have them prove useful so that ultimately every hospital will want to have this person.
We'll always support our partner hospitals with Amazon wish lists. We'll always send them an annual gift to support their child life department. But being able to spread this position across the globe is the next push that we want to be able to do.
I think that this is revolutionary. I think it's the next greatest thing for our profession. To see an organization like Child's Play really be able to admit, you know what, we can do better. What's our next step? What's our purpose? How can we change the world? How can we make a significant difference that's lasting? And so it's been really an amazing part of my professional growth to watch them get to the point they are today of introducing something that 5 years ago we wouldn't have even thought about.
This is Dreamscaper, an action RPG roguelite coming to Steam Early Access this summer. Dreamscaper takes action RPG combat and combines it with the endless replayability of a roguelike. Every slumber is a different dungeon in an ever-changing world with a multitude of unique events and challenges. Play as Cassidy, dive into her subconscious, take on the surreal nightmares she wrestles with to dispel the darkness. Master a rich, expansive combat system that rewards skilled play. Use careful positioning, exact timing, and quick reflexes to defeat foes with an abundance of combat options. Make your defense offensive. Use quick reactions to dodge and parry enemy blows to create opportunities. Each weapon class in Dreamscaper is unique, allowing for a myriad of ways to approach combat. Rend the earth below your nightmares, fire off a finger gun, or whip a yo-yo into their faces. Make your nightmare your source of strength. Use lucid powers to bend the dreamscape around you. Manipulate the elements to set enemies ablaze, or freeze others in place. When your nightmares overwhelm you, even control time itself to give you the edge you need. Explore ever-changing dreamscapes and discover lost memories, surreal scenery, and a multitude of unique events. Uncover Cassidy's past as you venture through her memories. Use your wits to solve challenging puzzles, growing your strength. Plunder through your dreams, finding resources and gear to build the playstyle that complements you. Special modifiers and rare keepsakes add depth and variety, allowing you to create unique character builds that encourage strong synergies. Wake from your nightmare to tackle a new day. Travel across the city of Red Haven and live Cassidy's waking life. Forge friendships and empower Cassidy with hopes and memories to dispel the darkness of her nightmares. Use resources found in your dream as inspiration to craft gifts for the people close to Cassidy. Make new friends and improve your relationship with them to unlock story vignettes and new powers in your dreams. The more you invest in them, the more they'll support you in return. Face off with nightmarish entities that represent some of Cassidy's most negative emotions. Challenging boss fights with representations of fear, isolation, loss, negativity, and more will test your mastery of the dreamscape. You'll need to draw on all your strength to handle ever-changing combinations of powerful enemies. Spell slingers, spectral swordsmen, mysterious wanderers, and hulking bruisers will bar your path. Vanquish those deadly foes to clear the dark miasma surrounding Cassidy. We can't wait to make Dreamscaper even better with your feedback and support over the coming months. Prepare to fall into dreams when Dreamscaper launches on Steam Early Access this summer.
Evelyn is statistically a human paladin, and she is Oath of the Ancients. Characteristically, people have called her a Southern Belle, but of course she's not from the South as you would recognize it. She's from a small town outside Waterdeep that has an accent that sounds a little bit like an American Southern accent. But she is endlessly optimistic, which is a power of hers, but also a flaw. And she's extremely strong, even though she's very, very small. So it's been really fun to play with her soft side, as well as her strength, and her femininity, as well as her violence, and her endless optimism, as well as her deep realism that she maybe sometimes hides or fights or is now discovering. But in Idle Champions, she serves really well as a great tank and plays very well with a lot of the other characters in her universe as well. Evelyn's loyal steed is named Morning Glory, and in the game, just once, Morning Glory was transformed into a Pegasus for various reasons, so Evelyn's ultimate is to fly in on a Pegasus and wreak beautiful havoc. The process of helping to put Evelyn in Idle Champions was so much fun. Being kind of the creative reference for something like that and watching it come to life, even to the point of, I specifically remember they showed me an animated version of Evelyn, and I was like, I don't think her boots' wings should move like that. I think they should move like in this rhythm, and making even changes like that. It was so cool that they were so interested in making the character so like what I thought, and then seeing her in the game, even when I walk by the Idle Champions booth now and they have it on the screen, I'll be like, oh, that's me. I helped with that. And that's something that I don't know if I ever thought I'd be able to do. So it's been really, really fun having her in the game, and having people play her and enjoy her in the game and teach me how they're using her in the game has been awesome. It's been funny because I am in all video games. I'm a lore junkie. I like to do things because they're cool for the story. And so there's a difference between people who are like, oh, I've min-maxed exactly the numbers that Evelyn's best for, or the people who are like, oh, I like to put Evelyn next to these people because I like even playing with these characters. And actually what's cool is in Idle Champions, a lot of those things are the same. So it's really neat that I like having all of Evelyn's friend characters around her, and that's usually a good thing for the game too.
We challenge you to a Swabette showdown!
We've recently had a shift. Both Child's Play and the medical community has recognized an unfilled niche where we needed some additional expertise in the hospital to help us deploy everything that they've provided, and they've started to help us develop a brand new role within medicine, that of the gaming technology specialist. These are people who have expertise in gaming, in technology in general, knowing how to set things up, keep them updated, but also have expertise working with children and work hand in hand with our child life specialists.
We can't afford to support, 250 of these positions across the US, but we can support 5 or 6 or 7 a year, get them started, and then have them prove useful so that ultimately every hospital will want to have this person.
We'll always support our partner hospitals with Amazon wish lists. We'll always send them an annual gift to support their child life department. But being able to spread this position across the globe is the next push that we want to be able to do.
I think that this is revolutionary. I think it's the next greatest thing for our profession. To see an organization like Child's Play really be able to admit, you know what, we can do better. What's our next step? What's our purpose? How can we change the world? How can we make a significant difference that's lasting? And so it's been really an amazing part of my professional growth to watch them get to the point they are today of introducing something that 5 years ago we wouldn't have even thought about.
This is Dreamscaper, an action RPG roguelite coming to Steam Early Access this summer. Dreamscaper takes action RPG combat and combines it with the endless replayability of a roguelike. Every slumber is a different dungeon in an ever-changing world with a multitude of unique events and challenges. Play as Cassidy, dive into her subconscious, take on the surreal nightmares she wrestles with to dispel the darkness. Master a rich, expansive combat system that rewards skilled play. Use careful positioning, exact timing, and quick reflexes to defeat foes with an abundance of combat options. Make your defense offensive. Use quick reactions to dodge and parry enemy blows to create opportunities. Each weapon class in Dreamscaper is unique, allowing for a myriad of ways to approach combat. Rend the earth below your nightmares, fire off a finger gun, or whip a yo-yo into their faces. Make your nightmare your source of strength. Use lucid powers to bend the dreamscape around you, manipulate the elements to set enemies ablaze, or freeze others in place. When your nightmares overwhelm you, even control time itself to give you the edge you need. Explore ever-changing dreamscapes and discover lost memories, surreal scenery, and a multitude of unique events. Uncover Cassidy's past as you venture through her memories. Use your wits to solve challenging puzzles, growing your strength. Plunder through your dreams, finding resources and gear to build the playstyle that complements you. Special modifiers and rare keepsakes add depth and variety, allowing you to create unique character builds that encourage strong synergies. Wake from your nightmare to tackle a new day. Travel across the city of Red Haven and live Cassidy's waking life. Forge friendships and empower Cassidy with hopes and memories to dispel the darkness of her nightmares. Use resources found in your dream as inspiration to craft gifts for the people close to Cassidy. Make new friends and improve your relationship with them to unlock story vignettes and new powers in your dreams. The more you invest in them, the more they'll support you in return. Face off with nightmarish entities that represent some of Cassidy's most negative emotions. Challenging boss fights with representations of fear, isolation, loss, negativity, and more.
And welcome to another PAX Online panel. I'm very, very excited to be here. I'm very excited to be taking part in PAX Online as a general concept. I know everybody else here also is. And before we jump in and start introducing people, welcome to Collaborative Homebrew 101. And what we're going to do is we're going to create an entire world for your Dungeons and Dragons game that you can use. You can feel free to steal this. I'm giving you permission. You can steal this world from us. We do not own it. We are just helping to create it all together. And I am very excited to be making that together. So my name is Adam Johns. I'm one of the executive directors of the nonprofit Game to Grow. We're an organization based out of the Seattle area that uses games of all kinds, but especially role-playing games to help kids and teens build social skills using the game itself. So we're very excited. We run groups of almost 100 kids and teens a week, helping them to build social skills, become more confident and creative and capable using games. And aside from telling you about Game to Grow, I'm also going to pass this on over to some of our other panelists and find out what they're all about. Obo, why don't you take it away?
Sure. I'm Lauren Urban. I'm the community manager for D&D Beyond. I will be playing my Twitter handle of Obo today to make life easy. I am so excited to be here.
Oh, hey guys. I am Cicero Holmes, aka Stubby Stan on Twitter. I won't be playing Cicero or Stubby Stan on Twitter today or here today. But in the essence of being together with everyone else, my name is now Lordam. So
you're the bridge. You're the
yes,
gap.
I am the bridge. I am bringing everything together. So I am neither Lauren or Adam on this panel. So there you go.
You're the true Voltron.
Right.
Yeah.
You get to be the head. Yes.
Yeah. Perfect.
I am the Black Lion.
Lauren. I'm the other Lauren. I also go by Random Tuesday on the internet. You can refer to me by any of those words. I will probably respond. I am a creative producer at Magic Gathering with Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast, whatever. I make magic. And I also stream and I make cosplays, and that's what this nonsense is behind me. And I love playing RPGs, so I'm very excited. And also improv. They're like, we're going to start with an improv game. And I was like, oh, really? Tell me more. So I'm very excited.
That sounds great.
Collaborative.
And
homebrew.
I am the other Adam, Adam Davis, the other founder of Game to Grow, the other executive director of the nonprofit Game to Grow, and I'm very excited to be here as well in this virtual PAX space.
So this kind of raises a lot of interesting questions. Why we decided to do this panel? Why bother making a collaboratively homebrewed world? Why not just pick one of the very, very many wonderful worlds that are out there for your enjoyment and all the amazing material that's out there, or just have the game master just create their own world? And to answer that question, I'm going to pass it right back to Adam Davis.
There you go.
So
you're almost a weatherman.
I'm so close. I'm so close.
By the end of this panel, it'll be second nature. You'll know
Right.
exactly where to point.
Everything else in your life will be completely off kilter.
This is like when you wear glasses that make the world look upside down. You just gotta give it a couple of days, and then everything right sides up.
Your brain will just start switching it for you.
Yeah.
Exactly. So those of you out there in the interwebs who are game masters probably have had this experience before, where you have meticulously studied someone else's module, or you have worked so tirelessly to build your very own adventure, your world. You've meticulously made all of your NPCs and every little place in the world, and you're so excited about your adventure that you're sharing with your players, and then the first thing they want to do is kill everyone, steal things, and sleep in alleyways because they don't really care about your adventure. And that can be so discouraging for a lot of game masters to have put all this effort in and then not have the players want to do this. This is oftentimes what we refer to as the murder hobo phenomenon. And there's nothing inherently wrong with murder hoboing in the game of Dungeons and Dragons, I should say. In the real world, please don't. But as a game master, one of the main reasons that this phenomenon happens is because your players don't really care about your story. You're not sharing your story with them, you're guiding them through your story. So one of the best ways that we have found at Game to Grow is in all of the 11 or 12 or 13 groups a week that we currently run. All of them are created for those players. So we use a very specific method of collaboratively building the world, but also collaboratively building the adventure hooks so that the players actually co-create the story that they're building with each other. It's a lot of the focus on the work that we do is about building a community and helping people feel like their presence matters, that they contribute to something that they get to gain a lot of benefit from as well. So we have developed this model of building a map and then building the adventure hook itself that the players can then co-create that story together.
So that's actually what we're going to do. We're all going to kind of contribute little pieces, and we're all going to add to our own little pieces. Thus is the collaborative method. It's more than just people adding individual things, but it's people building on each other's ideas to create something more than what any one individual of us could have made on our own. So that's what we're going to do. But Adam, I feel a little awkward being on a screen together, and this is hard for me. Can we like get a little more comfortable in this?
Yes, we are going to infuse these boxes on the screen with collaborative energy by playing an improv game. We're going to start with an improv game, just a very simple one word at a time story building game. So our goal here, as you are in your boxes on your screen, is to break through those boxes and start to metaphorically make connections with each other. So here's what we're going to do. Once you stretch your box to the right appropriate size for your comfort level, then we are going to be building a story one word at a time. So we're actually going to start with you, Adam John's starting the story, and then we are going to go around in the same order we introduced ourselves. And we're going to just say one word building some kind of story. I don't want you to think too hard about this. Your goal here is just to respond with the first thing that you think of. Even if it doesn't make a lot of sense, your goal here is just to open the floodgates and let your spontaneity flow. Adam, would you get us started?
Once
there
was
a
giant
purple
tree
minotaur.
This
giant
purple
minotaur
traveled
far
and
wide,
but
terrible
woodcutters
trapped
the
giant
purple
tree
minotaur.
So
they
decided
to
harvest
the
surrounding
fauna.
Soon.
Capture
the
friends
that
sparked
war.
All.
Is that a compound word? After all,
depends on the next word you're gonna say, Cicero.
Depended
on
friendship
to
save
lilies.
Please.
Forever.
The
end.
That was a beautiful story. I think that was really, it was really a story of redemption and a story of heroism in places we couldn't have expected, which I think is really the best kind of Dungeons and Dragons story we could ever have.
I want art of the giant purple tree minotaur holding like a bunch of lilies that are his friends.
Might, magic, mystery, all of it. That story was going to be the next Game
Compound
of Thrones.
words.
I can
Absolutely.
See it.
It's the prequel.
Yeah, right. That's our setup. Ooh,
and still better than season 8.
Right.
It's so easy to write something better than season 8. All right. with that, I feel a little better. I feel ready to jump in. Should we jump in and start to make a world? We should.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So the very first thing that we're going to do is obviously you can see down on the screen we've got a little bit of a whiteboard, and we have what looks to be sort of an outline on our whiteboard. We're all collaboratively joined into this whiteboard program so that we can all add different things to it. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to add some stuff to the place that we have. So we have a continent, and I actually feel like our continent needs a name. So actually, let me ask first, Adam, is this thing that we have drawn here, is this the continent itself, or is this just like a scroll of paper that we're looking at? What is the outline that I have?
So our heroes have found this scrap of map in the satchel of an assassin who was sent to kill them. So as our heroes dispatch the assassin and rifle through his belongings like you're supposed to whenever you are have an attempted assassination, you look through their pockets naturally.
Yeah.
This scrap of map was found in there.
Perfect. So this is actually our piece of paper, and we're going to add a little bit to this. We're going to add some continent, some place. Maybe this is a place in the world that the characters are all of our characters that we theoretically have in all of this are interested in exploring. Maybe it's a whole separate continent. We're going to have to sail there. All of those are possibilities. I'm going to draw in a little bit of a continent on our map. And you can see I'm having the continent go to the edges of the map. And that's because this isn't actually an image of an entire continent itself. It's just a sort of subsection. It's a selection of a continent. So I drew in some lines to maybe be our edges of our continent. What's outside of those lines could be water, it could be forest, could be desert, could be all sorts of things could be just a magical barrier, could be the edge of the earth. And that is where you can jump off and find all the turtles that are down below you going on for forever. And so whatever the case may be, we're actually going to decide some of that together. All I've done now is drawn lines. That is all I've done. And that's what everybody else is going to do too, because we're going to go around in a circle, I guess. We're going to go around one at a time, and we're going to add some stuff to this. And the first thing that we're going to add is we're going to add some geographic features. Obo, what would be an example of a geographic feature?
I would love to put a volcano on this map. I
Do
would
it.
love to have a volcano that, because you mentioned maybe these lines are where the water is, maybe these lines are where a forest is. I want a volcano right here, and the reason that you don't go is because there's a volcano. It's all just lava, and
Just
my
lava.
drawing ability is not
Beautiful.
amazing. So
It's beautiful.
I'm gonna use my words and then just a fountain of lava. There we go, fountain of lava.
I like it. It's an erupting volcano.
Exactly.
It's not just a volcano. This is a
fantasy world. All volcanoes must look epic at all times.
I think that's totally true. A dormant volcano is just a mountain. This is not a mountain. This is a whole volcano that is going on here.
Exactly.
Awesome. I love it. Cicero, what's another thing you'd like to put on our map? Another geographic feature you'd like to put on?
So I imagine that this world is very different from our own. So in the north, near this water, in the northwest, is a desert. Oops, there's a desert that. Hold on. Let's see. The desert up along the shoreline.
Yeah.
Here, and most people, I call it a desert. Most people, when there is sand near water, call it a beach. But
it's distinctly not.
It is distinctly not. It is very much a desert, and I am very bad at drawing as well. Someone clean that up for me.
This actually looks wonderful. It looks so good. So one of the great pieces about this is that we're using this platform for drawing this. But like, I'm not a great artist. I drew a box, and it wasn't even a good box. It has like edges and weird bits. The great part about this is that we are creating a map in a fantasy world This map could have been drawn by somebody who is not a map maker, or it could just be that we are imagining all the pieces of it, right? Maybe the map is highly detailed and beautifully created by somebody else other than us, and that's okay too. The great thing about Dungeons and Dragons, about role playing games, is that we can extend our imagination to include all of those things. Additionally, magic suffuses this place. I've had lots of players that will tell stories that will make statements to say, well, you can't put a mountain right next to a swamp because that's not how geography works. And I will say, except it's a magic swamp and a magic mountain. And so they can go right next to each other. And that's just the way it works. So even though it might look like a beach, it is in fact a desert. I love it. Lauren, Random Tuesday, will you add in another geographic feature?
I like spooky forests, and like with incredibly large trees, and I feel like everyone's doing that thing where they're like, I'm just gonna go on the edges. I'm gonna put my forest in the middle.
Yeah.
This is go for it.
Get it in there.
Big forest. There you go. That's all.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
That's all,
That's
yeah, here we
great.
go. I found ways that you can make the markers do stuff. So
This is great. This is the most detailed map that I've had so far.
you get a lot of clicking noises. So there you go. There's the forest.
I will say also that this map is a great opportunity to build some sort of like symbolic thinking. So it is important to recognize that this map, it is that volcano is maybe not to scale, but it lets everyone who looks at this map know that there is something there that is exciting and we want to go look at it. Symbolic thinking is another thing we want our participants and our players to learn anyway. So utilizing this map to do that is really helpful. I love that forest in the middle, and I'm going to use the collaborative spirit of yes anding and say that deep inside that forest is there is actually sort of a little town deep inside this. And there is.
I like it. There's also possibly one very large tree in the center.
It could be one really gigantic building. It's not even a town.
Yeah.
It's just one.
Symbolic thinking, though, lets you recognize that house is not a house. It is a iconographic symbol of something else. There it is. There it is.
I love it. So one of the
point.
What? He's delivering a point? Ridiculous.
Yes. Also, I would never have tolerated the amount of negative self-talk that was happening just now. I'm a bad artist. I'm a bad artist. I'm a bad artist. There is a volcano there that wasn't there before, and we should celebrate the fact that there is now a volcano and a desert by the water that is not a beach. Thank you for your contributions to our collective map.
Absolutely. So we're actually gonna do one more round, and everybody's gonna add a little bit more, and I'm gonna add something as well. In fact, I'm just gonna add a lake, a little bit of a lake. I didn't find all the cool buttons that Lauren added, and then like a river coming down, runs down there.
Oh, so it's like a tributary. Right.
Sure. Yes.
Yes.
That is exactly what I was going for.
And that makes me curious about who pays tribute, the tributary.
That is correct.
Yeah. And then we'll pass it back around so everybody can add one more geographic feature. And then after we add those geographic features, we're going to come up with some story about this place. So right now we're creating, and Obo, you should take it away. Go ahead and add another feature on there. But right now what we're creating is a foundation. We've got a foundation for something that we can work with. But all of the things that we're creating, my lake and my river, the volcano, the desert by the water, all of those things are going to get co-opted by other people here. And so we're never going to turn down something that somebody else has offered, but we are going to add to it. And the person who created it originally is going to let it go and let it recognize that it's something that is a part of our story that we're creating, our map that we're creating, and not something that necessarily you need to own. Needs to be really explicitly a thing that works the way that it does in your own mind. Obo, what have you created there?
I've decided that any good river needs a place where there is a giant waterfall. And so in order to have a giant waterfall, your river needs to go over some mountains, not giant mountains, and I made them purple because purple mountains majesty. Why not? So that's, I guess your lake is now high up on a plateau surrounded by other mountains, and eventually your lovely river comes down into a cascading waterfall, which you will just have to imagine that I've drawn in exquisite
so
tiny
beautiful.
detail.
I love it. Oh my gosh! And there's a rainbow coming off
course.
the mist from the cascading waterfall. Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. And now my lake is a mountainous lake, which I really just enjoy the scenery of a good mountainous lake. Nice and cold. Awesome. Thank you so much, Obo. Cicero.
So I'm gonna stay over by the desert and say that the desert is a secluded desert because it is also blocked by mountains, and the mountains in this world are purple. So this is a gigantic mountain range that that just cuts off the forest area from the desert area.
So now we've got, it was prime real estate in the desert, but now it's so isolated that who knows, the real estate prices may have dropped quite a bit. If there's not grocery stores and stuff there.
Well, there might be.
There could be. It's a desert.
Right. It's a food desert. And these mountains are so high that they are snow capped, but there's no white. The snow here is red.
Maybe that's why the mountains are purple.
Right.
Because the snow is like a red snow and it mixes in and sort of degrades down in color. It mixes with blueberries that get crushed up by animals.
I was like half thinking, like, what if the mountains are all just made of crystal?
Ooh. I like that. Yeah.
Like amethyst chunks.
Crystal Mountains. I feel like that's like an off-brand soda. Am I making that up?
Crystal Mountain.
That's why people live in the desert, is they're harvesting the soda that comes off of these crystal mountains.
Yes.
Exactly. There's actually a thriving the thriving desert community.
They're a hummingbird population. They're like human hummingbirds, so they just need straight sugar water.
There's already so much collaboration building into this world. I love this.
I'm already imagining the people playing the NPCs in this world, and they're like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm ready to meet you. You ready to go? Oh man, I'm feeling really tired.
Over here."
This world is sponsored by Red Bull.
I love it. Awesome. Lauren, Random Tuesday, would you add in?
I would be remiss if we did not have at least one swamp.
We do need a swamp.
We do need a swamp. So I might cheat a little bit. I'm gonna add two things. One, I think by the volcano, part of why it's so like terrifying and inhospitable is there's just a big swamp like around it. Maybe not around all of it, around some of it, and
some swamp.
Yeah, and then the river connects to it.
Nice.
Oh, a river runs through it.
Yeah. Solid.
Speaking of dated references.
This does mean that this constantly exploding volcano is shrouded in mist as the heat from the volcano and
it
meets
makes
swamp.
the swamp all like steamy, but it also means like the swamp water is both brackish because it's a good word and I like it, but also slightly acidic because it's just like spewing sulfur into it. Right. So I imagine it's like that. There's like this lake somewhere that just has a bunch of dead animal skeletons in it because it's like so acidic. Like the animals get into it and then they just dissolve. So it's just like
but the vegetation there must be.
Oh, there's
the mushrooms are enormous and in like a variety of colors, and they kind of they have a way of moving around, so they're almost ambulatory, so that they can they've eaten everything over here and now they're gonna and move over there.
Oh, they're like tumbleweeds or whatever.
Is this the Mushroom Kingdom? Did we make the Mushroom Kingdom?
Yeah,
is Super Mario going to be around?
I think there needs to be a plumber to make sure that the swamp stays where it is and doesn't.
The
This is a legally distinct map.
Yeah.
That's great.
Any similarity to persons, fantasy or otherwise that may exist is purely coincidental.
Purely coincident. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
a mushroom land.
Yes.
Totally.
Fungal land.
Yeah, fungal land.
Fungal land.
Fungal. It's got a
Fungal
theme
land.
park in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Welcome to Fungal Land. Please wear
so far
shoes.
we've got living mushrooms and hummingbird people. So
Yeah, we're on a great start. I'm liking this
Yeah,
so
yeah.
far. We're off to really. Also, can I say our map is so colorful?
It
I
is very
really enjoy
colorful.
all the colors that are going on there.
I like it too.
Are you gonna add
I,
something?
This assassin found the best place to buy a map. You know,
Right.
they had all the Crayola
Really?
crayons at this
Yeah.
this map maker. It's great.
Wow. I'm noticing that, and I was sort of inspired by the fact that someone said Purple Mountain's Majesty. And then I was also thinking about the fact that you said, talk about food deserts. So I'm going to make amber waves of grain. Over here, it's going to be on the opposite, on the right hand or the eastern side, sort of where that water is to keep sort of natural. So those are like, this is once again sort of symbolic. These are the amber
I
waves
was
of
hoping they
grain
were
over here.
giant waves of grain, just like human size, like
Oh,
Tree sized.
yeah.
perhaps they are. You know, perhaps they are. This is just my way of saying this is not just. I wanted to differentiate between these amber waves and the desert over there on the western side. So those are like little wheat stalks over here in the foothills of the mountains on the coast, which I'm assuming is water, and maybe there's people who come over and harvest this and then take it back to their own continent somewhere else.
Could be true. Maybe especially valuable if they're gigantic in the size of redwoods, which could be really. You just harvest one. And
Yeah,
take it
I'm
back.
making bread for a month right here. Yeah.
For the whole city.
Mhm.
The last thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna have everybody.
There's at least one giant that lives in the mountain that just chews on like the sheep of corn, you know, like with the.
It's like it's singing out of his mouth.
Yeah, but they have to be a giant for it to be proportional.
Yeah. Well, I dare say I believe there's some people down there. Well, hello there, little people. Yeah, I believe that's the giant we have living in the Purple Mountain. We're gonna do one last thing, which is that everybody's gonna add a settlement, a city of some kind or a town. You can represent this with as Davis has already done, with a house that you draw somewhere, and it's representative. It's not necessarily just a giant house, but it could be representative of a city or a town. Or you can just put a dot, or you can put a circle with a star inside of it, which is sometimes how cities are represented. So I'm going to add one. I like the idea that there's just a town right next to this lake up in the mountains. So I'm just going to add a dot right there to be a town by that lake. Maybe a nice little like cabin town where people live and go on vacation, and they live by a lake all the time.
My turn?
Yeah, go for it.
I love the idea that the mushroom people and the hummingbird people have a thriving trade community and are constantly meeting up to exchange it was the sugar water coming down from the crystal mountains and the lovely harvest that you can get in this unique swamp. And so I think right about here there's a town, and it's kind of the trading outpost between the desert and the brackish swamp, and they come together, and it's a lovely little town in where you can trade all your goods and also get really good snacks.
I sort of imagine that the hummingbird people are very fast moving and the mushroom people are very slow moving. So there's like a really hilarious like exchange of goods that happen where the mushroom person is like, "What about for 4?" And the hummingbird person's like, 4? Yeah, 4. I could probably do 4. I'd probably do 5. I think we should. I'll negotiate down to like 4 or 5. 6. Well, let's do 6. Let's do 6. And that's like a hilarious exchange that constantly happens in this town.
Absolutely. You have to be the most patient on both sides to really thrive in this trade town.
Yeah. I like it. Awesome. Cicero, where do you want to put a house or town or
so I want to believe that there are I'm going to cheat a little bit and say that there are 2 towns. There is a town right here in the north that that benefits from both the water from the sea and is already establishing a mining community up here at the beginning of the Crystal Mountains, mining the sugar water. But there is also a town down here where they have created a little mining and tunnel community that will allow them to trade with the town that is just by the volcano and the hummingbird community. So all of the so what happens is the mining is done and they get their goods and they bring those goods from the from the one town to that trading outpost, and that is where all the goods and services take place. All the commerce takes place.
Nice. I like that. Is there a tunnel that goes all the way through the mountains?
I think so. Yeah, I think that tunnel goes a little like this.
Yeah, there we go. That's got to be a beautiful tunnel. All the sugar amethyst.
Yes.
All around you. Is it just rock candy? Have we determined that these mountains are just made of rock candy now?
It depends on the elevation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. That makes sense. Awesome.
That
Lauren,
makes sense.
I was worried it didn't make sense. That makes a lot of sense. Lauren, why don't you add another city or a town?
I don't know how this mark, this little, that was not what I meant to do, but that little mark
I think
there.
that was my pinky knuckle.
I'm gonna yes and it. I'm gonna yes
That's
and
great.
it. This is now going to be this is a bustling metropolis. And it is so big, it crosses the river several times.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's just like this massive conglomerate city that's right on this fork in the river, but the amber sheaths, they harvest all of that food. It's this big old candy metropolis.
Not the twins, but the triplets.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Tri-Cities, that's not a thing, right?
No.
There is already so much good stuff on this map. I think I'm gonna add down here where the edge of the swamp, there's still a solid enough land that sort of the dwellers of solid land right there, maybe receiving some of the goods from the Tri-Cities coming down the river, and then they can take it, and then maybe they're the waypoint for the swamp people.
Nice.
There you go. I do enjoy that we had a lot of logic behind the geographic location of our cities. Important trade routes for our Candy Mountain sugar water, weird mushrooms.
Right.
I mean, it's gotta tie together. If I've got an entire Candy Mountain and weird mushrooms, obviously they're trading with each other.
Yeah.
I enjoy where we were like, yes, no, the logic of this is very sound.
Well, the world is not logical, but the inhabitants must be, right?
Yeah,
Right.
well, it's got to make sense for them, right?
It's gotta come together. Awesome. So now what we're gonna do, we've already got a pretty amazing thing. I wanna practice a couple of fun techniques that we can kind of pass on to the audience. That's clearly all here. Hi, audience. Hi, everybody. I want to pass on a couple of fun techniques that you can use to even flush this out more. So right now, we don't have titles for anything. Nothing is named on this map. And names are a power. They are a great power that we get to imbue meaning to many of the things that are on this map. Except, of course, for the Crystal Mountains and the soda itself, named after the Crystal Mountains. Right. But I want to name, we're going to pick a city or a town, and we're going to name it. And this one we're going to name one letter at a time, passing around the group. So I'm going to start us off. I think we're going to name the really big city, the one that's stretching over all these rivers. And I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to pick a K. Why don't we go with K? And Obo, will you give me the next letter in the name of this town?
Oh.
Oh, okay. Oh.
L?
I'm gonna go with A.
Oh no.
I think that's it. I think that's the name of our town. How would you say this name?
Kula. Oh, Kool-Aid. Accent.
Oh,
Accent.
I feel like
The
if it's
good.
Kool-Aid, it needs an apostrophe between the L and the A. Yeah.
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 Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
Perfect.
It's Canadian.
Kool-Aid.
It just started out as people being like, "This town cool, eh?"
Right.
So we have the town, or I guess great city of Kool-Aid. And then we're also going to create something. We could zoom in. Obviously, this is a huge city. It's got tons of stores and tons of places to stay. It's got a whole kingdom. But why don't we just create one thing that exists in the town? We're going to create an inn or a tavern, a place you might stay in the town. And for naming this inn, we're going to take a couple of concepts. How about Obo? Will you give me an animal?
So I've been wanting to go back to our purple tree minotaur that we created at the beginning. I've been looking at that center tree village there, but since we're talking, I think our purple tree minotaur has come out to Cool A and set up an inn, and so I'm gonna go. I don't know if this counts as an animal, but I'm gonna go with a minotaur.
Sure, why not? That sounds great. It's a minotaur. And then Cicero, what is a color? We could totally go with purple. And like,
I mean,
really
yeah,
dig into the
it is definitely on brand for this panel. So yeah, purple.
You can come up with like a variation of purple, like violet or magenta.
Mauve.
Mauve.
Lavender.
Lavender.
Oh, wait,
There you go.
yeah, let's. Oh no, Mauve Minotaur.
The alliteration there is
alliteration
really good.
is
Yeah,
pretty
I was
good.
gonna say that really that satisfies me.
Yes.
Alliteration is always top notch.
The mauve
Absolutely.
The mauve minotaur. And so now we have the name. This is the inn, maybe a famous inn within Kool-Aid. But we also need now normally in Game to Grow games, we don't have any alcohol in our games. Everybody just drinks soup from mugs. But in this particular case, we're gonna add a famous drink that you get in the Mauve Minotaur. Lauren, Random Tuesday, what is a famous drink that you get in the Mauve Minotaur?
Oh, I have to name the whole drink.
You can name half the drink and then pass it to Adam if you'd like.
Well, we had the suggestion of lavender, but I feel like lavender part of me's like lavender drank. But
I mean, there is
a
that
lavender
lavender tea.
gimlet. I don't know. Gimlet's a good word.
Gimlet,
I don't
gimlet.
actually know what a gimlet is. It's an adult thing, right?
I think one of the great things about this is like you can name a drink pretty much anything, and like it can totally be a drink. So we have the lavender gimlet.
Yeah, it's
and
named for the
Adam,
great gimlet
right?
who founded the
I'm
lavender
imagining
fields.
somehow the mug is really cool or something. Adam, what is this lavender gimlet served in?
It is served in like a very small, like stemware glass that comes with a very wide. It's very aromatic, right? Lavender is very aromatic, so you want to have a lot of surface area. So it's like a plate on top of a very thin stemware. So you have to like.
It's like a whole plate you have to hold up.
Yeah.
And sit that.
Yeah.
And then
You
finally
created
get
a
to-
trough. These are
Yeah.
Right,
the
yes.
minotaur, of course, would drink out of a trough. So
trough.
this
Right,
is just
correct.
a fancy
And-
version.
The servers who serve these, because they're just liquid on a plate, they have to be perfectly agile and dexterous. Otherwise, it splashes everywhere. You know,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's a phenomenon. You get that lavender gimlet, and then man, it is like a show and a drink at the same time.
Maybe the purple minotaur is particularly dexterous and particularly capable, which is why this drink sort of came about. It's for the show of it. You bring it out and show. I can carry 4 of these, which I can't even conceptualize how you would carry 4 of them.
2 on your
Yeah,
horns.
He's a
Two in your
giant.
hand.
You put 2 on the horns and then you carry
Yeah.
2. Perfect. So now we have a little bit of story. We have a little bit of idea for this. And now what we're going to do, we could totally run with this, right? This is a whole world. I could easily make up an idea for this world. And as Adam said before, the whole concept behind this is that we're really making a world that's interesting for you as players to explore. Because you've helped to create it, I know that you're interested in it. And so if I dump you in the middle of Kool-Aid, I know that you are not going to go, all right, I want to burn everything down, because you want to explore Kool-Aid. You want to see, you want to go, well, I mean, maybe you want to burn it down, but you want to burn it down while exploring it. You want to see what's going on. But it's not enough that we do just this. We're actually going to do something a little bit more, and that is we're going to create a story hook. We know that this world exists now, but we don't know what's going on in the world. And this is where we come to the rumor system. So the rumor system is a technique that I came up with a bunch of friends and that we've been using in Game to Grow groups for years and years. And the rumor system is a way to create story hooks generated by your players and also voted on by your players, so that you can jump in and do a plot line that you know your players are interested in. It stems from the same idea of helping your players to be motivated in the plot line that you're working on, that you're all experiencing, that you all helped collaborate together. So the way the rumor system works is this. We're all going to create a rumor about things in our world. The rumor has to contain 3 parts. The rumor is a thing that is happening in a place and a reason why we care. So the thing usually is a bad thing. Often of times it's, someone's army is attacking someone else, or there's a terrible thing that's happened in this place, or some people have gone missing, or something was stolen. That's usually something to think. But it could be, if you want to get creative with it, it could be all sorts of other things. You could say the people in the Mushroom Kingdom or the Mushroom Land and the people from the Crystal Mountains suddenly can't communicate with each other. So it is, I guess, a bad thing because it's the communication that's going on, but it doesn't mean that people are dying or anything like that. It just means their trade has halted. So you can come up with all sorts of different pieces. The second one is a place. You can see in the rumor that I just created about the 2 kingdoms, the 2 towns trading with each other. We have a specific place where that is probably going to be happening, which is the trade post in between those 2 places. And this is also a great moment where you can name one of these cities, or you can name one of the things. You could name the forest if you wanted to. When you name a place, you once again give it some power. And the last one is a reason why we care. Why do we as adventurers, or we as players, want to go on this mission? Maybe there's somebody offering a great reward. Maybe there is just the good of doing good in the world. Or maybe there is a chance to get like a magic item or something. So what I'm going to have everybody do in our chat that the audience cannot see, but which we as panelists can all see, I'm going to have you type your rumor. And once again, it's a thing that is happening in a place and a reason why we care about it. So go ahead and type those in. When you have those all together, I will read them all out loud. And Adam Davis and myself have used this to. I'm just going to keep talking while you're typing these, so you don't have to listen to me, but the audience can listen. While we've done this in many opportunities, we've used this to generate campaigns that have lasted years, even that have stretched over a long period of time. And one of the basic benefits of this as a game master is that I don't have to come up with all the ideas. One of the challenges that sometimes comes up for so many game masters is a blank slate is a hard place to work from. A blank slate has too many open possibilities. And what I'm doing now, by having all my players contribute their own ideas to it, not only am I sure that they're going to be motivated to pursue those things, they're creating a reason why they themselves would care about what's going on, but I'm also creating something that I can use and that I've got some boundaries that I can work within. And I often find that my own creativity works a lot better when I have boundaries to the creativity that I'm trying to do than it does when I've got a big open blank slate. So we've got some of these coming in. These are already looking really great. Once we have all of them. Adam, can you remember any of the good storylines that we've come up with from?
I'm actually playing through one of them right now. One of them was originally there was a king who is doing experiments on children. So a little darker in theme. The king is doing experiments on children against their will. That was the basic rumor. In there is the name of the kingdom was in there too. And obviously the reason why we care is because they're children, and so it didn't need to be made explicit. The children are being experimented on by an evil king, and that's was a hook that then. We'll talk a little bit more about the next steps of the rumor process, but like that built and became a whole kingdom we've explored, a whole deeper relationship with like the 9 hells and all of these things. It's all built into the fact that this king was a simple rumor of a king doing experiments against their will turned into there is students at the sorcery school being abducted, that there's like blood magic happening with summoning of devils and demons and turning them into flesh golems. It's like really exciting plot that all came from the players themselves.
Perfect. So we have our rumors. So I'm going to read them all off, and then we're going to vote on which one. If you're theoretical characters, you could use a character that maybe you actually play in a campaign, but a theoretical character otherwise might want to pursue. So I'm going to read these off. We have the trees in the great forest Ashta are disappearing. Leaders in Kule are offering a reward for finding the missing trees. Awesome. We got a thing that's happening. We got a place where it's happening, and we've got a reason why we care. The owner of the Mauve Minotaur has not received their shipment of sugar crystals from the Crystal Mountains, and they can't make their signature drink without that sugar. Awesome. Pulling back into the Purple Minotaur, and so that we can actually interact with them. They're not going to become an NPC in our quest. That sounds really exciting. The next one is there are bandits attacking caravans traveling through the tunnels. The mushroom people have offered a hefty reward to track down the bandits and get them to stop stealing the precious sugar water. Caravans.
Yeah, I typoed that, but caravan is clearly a word now.
Yes,
it's clearly a word. And also, there's sugar mountains. Maybe there are giant ants.
Yeah. That's great.
Yes.
I was thinking they were also sort of gallivanting caravans.
Sure, that could totally.
So, you know.
Yeah.
I also think now the rumor that I came up with and the rumor Adam Davis came up with pair very nicely together, and that's basically we've just put together an entire campaign. It's great.
I love it. And one of the things that we can do, we're going to vote as players on these rumors, but we can make all of these things true. Functionally, this is all happening in the world, and we can pursue down one story path, and maybe it will tie in with other rumors that we create, or we can pursue down one and then finish that whole story and then be like, yeah, but I really liked that other rumor also. Let's go down that story as well, and investigate everything that's been happening there. So our last rumor is the forest was once the capital of this land, but it has fallen under an evil spell. It can only be defeated by traveling into the middle of the forest. It's important to break the evil spell as it creates a direct route from Kule to the Crystal Mountains. And there's an extra bit to that rumor, which is the half-life of the Crystal Mountain sugar is very short. Creating this route through the forest will make drinks even better. So we'll get a lot more delicious sugary stuff if we can really dig in and make this route through the forest work.
I'm excited for who's going to bring snacks to our game, because I think thematically we're going to have a lot of sugar.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of purple snacks. Do they make purple,
right?
Like
purple drink,
like gum.
Bring a lot of taro.
I'll be that person who brings the healthy stuff, and I'll bring eggplant.
Oh, there you go.
It's only purple on the outside.
Yeah, but sometimes that's all that matters.
I want to bring grape Kool-Aid.
Yes.
There you go.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah. There you go. Perfect.
I'm just going to scratch out the
So what we're going to do is we're going to vote on one of these rumors, and then we're going to build on it a little bit more. Now, normally when we vote, what we would do is there's all sorts of different ways to vote on it. We might have tokens. We might vote blind. Oftentimes when I read off rumors, I will make it clear that you don't know who made what rumor. So sometimes players will play favorites with each other, and I want to make sure that they're voting for the rumor they think is most interesting for the plot line and not the one that their friend made. In this case, I think we can trust that we're all going to vote for whatever seems the most interesting here. So I'll read them off, and I'll give them a number, and then in chat you can just vote for whichever number you think is the one that you would want to pursue the most, and we'll do a little bit more building on top of that story. So
the other interesting thing about rumors like this for you as a game master is you can see what motivates your players already. So we have a couple of rumors already that are like, stopping caravans or whatever. Like now it's this sort of a combat maybe driven campaign because we're supposed to be stopping people from doing a bad thing, and that's got like a nice little bit of combat sort of built into that. So there's a nice sort of assessment piece to doing this process where you can say if your players make up rumors that are like about political intrigue between the two towns and a peace must be brokered kind of rumor, then lets you know that your player is really motivated by a lot more role play than combat, or they're motivated by gold because like one of those rumors was about a hefty sum of reward being offered. Okay, well now you know your players are motivated by gold. Well, that's great. You can leave that sort of carrot on the end of the stick to motivate them, keep them from burning things down.
They're all super useful aspects. Remember that whatever your players are giving you is all information. So when a player does want to attack things and burn the place down, that might mean that they're really starving for combat, and you need to toss them a combat so that they can dive in and fight some stuff and feel powerful and feel epic. And all of that is good information that you can always use to help create the campaign and the plot line that's going to be the most engaging for the players that you have at the table. So I'll read them down and I'll number them this time. Number 1, the trees in the Great Forest Ashta are disappearing. The leaders in Kule are offering a reward for finding the missing trees. Number 2, the owner of the Mauve Minotaur has not received their shipment of sugar crystals from the Crystal Mountains, and they can't make their signature drink without that sugar. Number 3, there are bandits attacking caravans traveling through the tunnel. Hello, and welcome to another PAX Online panel. I'm very, very excited to be here. I'm very excited to be taking part in PAX Online as a general concept. I know everybody else here also is. And before we jump in and start introducing people, welcome to Collaborative Homebrew 101. And what we're going to do is we're going to create an entire world for your Dungeons & Dragons game that you can use. You can feel free to steal this. I'm giving you permission. You can steal this world from us. We do not own it. We are just helping to create it all together. And I am very excited to be making that together. So my name is Adam Johns. I'm one of the executive directors of the nonprofit Game to Grow. We're an organization based out of the Seattle area that uses games of all kinds, but especially role-playing games to help kids and teens build social skills using the game itself. So we're very excited. We run groups of almost 100 kids and teens a week, helping them to build social skills, become more confident and creative and capable using games. And aside from telling you about Game to Grow, I'm also going to pass this on over to some of our other panelists and find out what they're all about. Obo, why don't you take it away?
Sure. I'm Lauren Urban. I'm the community manager for D&D Beyond. I will be playing my Twitter handle of Obo today to make life easy. I am so excited to be here.
Oh, hey guys. I am Cicero Holmes, aka Stubby Stan on Twitter. I won't be playing Cicero or Stubby Stan on Twitter today or here today. But in the essence of being together with everyone else, my name is now Lordam. So
you're the bridge. You're the
yes,
gap.
I am the bridge. I am bringing everything together. So I am neither Lauren or Adam on this panel. So there you go.
You're the true Voltron.
Right.
Yeah.
You get to be the head. Yes.
Yeah. Perfect.
I am the Black Lion.
Lauren. I'm the other Lauren. I also go by Random Tuesday on the internet. You can refer to me by any of those words. I will probably respond. I am a creative producer at Magic Gathering with Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast, whatever. I make magic. And I also stream and I make cosplays, and that's what this nonsense is behind me. And I love playing RPGs, so I'm very excited. And also improv. They're like, we're gonna start with an improv game, and I was like, oh really? Tell me more. So I'm very excited.
That sounds great.
Collaborative.
And
homebrew.
I am the other Adam, Adam Davis, the other founder of Game to Grow, the other executive director of the nonprofit Game to Grow, and I'm very excited to be here as well in this virtual PAX space.
This kind of raises a lot of interesting questions. Why we decided to do this panel? Why bother making a collaboratively homebrewed world? Why not just pick one of the very, very many wonderful worlds that are out there for your enjoyment and all the amazing material that's out there, or just have the game master just create their own world? And to answer that question, I'm going to pass it right back to Adam Davis.
There you go.
So
you're almost a weatherman.
I'm so close. I'm so close.
By the end of this panel, it'll be second nature. You'll know
Right.
exactly where to point at all times.
Everything else in your life will be completely off kilter.
This is like when you wear glasses that make the world look upside down. You just got to give it a couple of days, and then everything right sides up.
Your brain will just start switching it for you.
Yeah.
Exactly. So those of you out there in the interwebs who are game masters probably have had this experience before, where you have meticulously studied someone else's module, or you have worked so tirelessly to build your very own adventure, your world. You've meticulously made all of your NPCs and every little place in the world, and you're so excited about your adventure that you're sharing with your players, and then the first thing they want to do is kill everyone, steal things, and sleep in alleyways because they don't really care about your adventure. And that can be so discouraging for a lot of game masters to have put all this effort in and then not have the players want to do this. This is oftentimes what we refer to as the murder hobo phenomenon. And there's nothing inherently wrong with murder hoboing in the game of Dungeons and Dragons, I should say. In the real world, please don't. But as a game master, one of the main reasons that this phenomenon happens is because your players don't really care about your story. You're not sharing your story with them, you're guiding them through your story. So one of the best ways that we have found at Game to Grow is in all of the 11 or 12 or 13 groups a week that we currently run. All of them are created for those players. So we use a very specific method of collaboratively building the world, but also collaboratively building the adventure hooks so that the players actually co-create the story that they're building with each other. It's a lot of the focus on the work that we do is about building a community and helping people feel like their presence matters, that they contribute to something that they get to gain a lot of benefit from as well. So we have developed this model of building a map and then building the adventure hook itself that the players can then co-create that story together.
So that's actually what we're going to do. We're all going to kind of contribute little pieces, and we're all going to add to our own little pieces. Thus is the collaborative method. It's more than just people adding individual things, but it's people building on each other's ideas to create something more than what any one individual of us could have made on our own. So that's what we're going to do. But Adam, I feel a little awkward being on a screen together, and this is hard for me. Can we like get a little more comfortable in this?
Yes, we are going to infuse these boxes on the screen with collaborative energy by playing an improv game. We're going to start with an improv game, just a very simple one word at a time story building game. So our goal here, as you are in your boxes on your screen, is to break through those boxes and start to metaphorically make connections with each other. So here's what we're going to do. Once you stretch your box to the right appropriate size for your comfort level, then we're going to be building a story one word at a time. So we're actually going to start with you, Adam Johns, starting the story. Then we are going to go around in the same order we introduced ourselves. And we're going to just say one word, building some kind of story. I don't want you to think too hard about this. Your goal here is just to respond with the first thing that you think of. Even if it doesn't make a lot of sense, your goal here is just to open the floodgates and let your spontaneity flow. Adam, would you get us started?
Once
there
was
a
giant
purple
tree
minotaur.
This
giant
purple
minotaur
traveled
far
and
wide,
but
terrible
woodcutters
trapped
the
Giant.
Purple.
Tree.
Minotaur.
So
they
decided
to
harvest
the
surrounding
fauna.
Soon.
Capture
the
friends
that
sparked
war.
All.
Is that a compound word? After all.
Depends on the next word you're gonna say, Cicero.
Depended
on
friendship.
To
save
lilies.
Please.
Forever.
The
end.
That was a beautiful story. Walt. I think that was really, it was really a story of redemption and a story of heroism in places we couldn't have expected, which I think is really the best kind of Dungeons and Dragons story we could ever have.
I want art of the giant purple tree minotaur holding like a bunch of lilies that are his friends.
Might, magic, mysteries, all of it. That story was going to be the next Game
Compound
of Thrones.
words.
I can
Absolutely.
see it.
It's the prequel.
Yeah, right. That's our setup. Ooh,
And still
maybe
better
that
than
is-
season 8.
Right.
It's so easy to write something better than season 8. All right. With that, I feel a little better. I feel ready to jump in. Should we jump in and start to make a world? We should.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So the very first thing that we're going to do is obviously you can see down on the screen we've got a little bit of a whiteboard, and we have what looks to be sort of an outline on our whiteboard. We're all collaboratively joined into this whiteboard program so that we can all add different things to it. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to add some stuff to the place that we have. So we have a continent, and I actually feel like our continent needs a name. Actually, let me ask first, Adam, is this thing that we have drawn here, is this the continent itself, or is this just like a scroll of paper that we're looking at? What is the outline that I have?
So our heroes have found this scrap of map in the satchel of an assassin who was sent to kill them. So as our heroes dispatch the assassin and rifle through his belongings like you're supposed to whenever you are have an attempted assassination, you look through their pockets naturally.
Yeah.
This scrap of map was found in there.
Perfect. So this is actually our piece of paper, and we're going to add a little bit to this. We're going to add some continent, some place. Maybe this is a place in the world that the characters are all of our characters that we theoretically have in all of this are interested in exploring. Maybe it's a whole separate continent. We're going to have to sail there. All of those are possibilities. I'm going to draw in a little bit of a continent on our map. And you can see I'm having the continent go to the edges of the map. And that's because this isn't actually an image of an entire continent itself. It's just a sort of subsection. It's a selection of a continent. So I drew in some lines to maybe be our edges of our continent. What's outside of those lines could be water, it could be forest, could be desert, could be all sorts of things could be just a magical barrier, could be the edge of the earth. And that is where you can jump off and find all the turtles that are down below you going on for forever.
All the way down.
And so whatever the case may be, we're actually going to decide some of that together. All I've done now is drawn lines. That is all I've done. And that's what everybody else is going to do too, because we're going to go around in a circle, I guess. We're going to go around one at a time, and we're going to add some stuff to this. And the first thing that we're going to add is we're going to add some geographic features. Obo, what would be an example of a geographic feature?
I would love to put a volcano on this map.
Do
I would
it.
love to have a volcano that because you mentioned maybe these lines are where the water is, maybe these lines are where a forest is. I want a volcano right here, and the reason that you don't go is because there's a volcano. It's all just lava, and
Just
my
lava.
drawing ability is not
Beautiful.
amazing. So
It's beautiful.
I'm gonna use my words, and then there's just a fountain of lava. There we go, fountain of
I
lava.
like it. It's an erupting volcano.
Exactly.
It's
Well,
not just a volcano. This is a
this is a
active.
fantasy world. All volcanoes must look epic at all times.
I think that's totally true. A dormant volcano is just a mountain. This is not a mountain. This is a whole volcano that is going on here.
Exactly.
Awesome. I love it. Cicero, what's another thing you'd like to put on our map? Another geographic feature you'd like to put on?
So I imagine that this world is very different from our own. So in the north, near this water, in the north west, is a desert. Oops, there is a desert that hold on, let's see, desert up along the shoreline.
Yeah.
Here, and most people, I call it a desert. Most people, when there is sand near water, call it a beach. But
it's distinctly not.
It is distinctly not. It is very much a desert, and I am very bad at drawing as well. Someone clean that up for me.
This actually looks wonderful. It looks so good. So one of the great pieces about this is that we're using this platform for drawing this. But like, I'm not a great artist. I drew a box and it wasn't even a good box. It has like edges and weird bits. The great part about this is that we are creating a map in a fantasy world. This map could have been drawn by somebody who is not a map maker, or it could just be that we are imagining all the pieces of it, right? Maybe the map is highly detailed and beautifully created by somebody else other than us.
Hello, PAX Online. Dallas Kemp here from Atomic Mass Games, makers of Marvel Crisis Protocol. And we're going to do a little painting, hang out with you here and enjoy PAX Online. So one of the things I love about painting miniatures is putting a little glow on them, and get a lot of questions about that. So we're going to talk about how to add a little glow to your miniature to make it pop on the tabletop. So let's just go ahead and get started and see what we can come up with here. Switch it over to my handy cam, and I've got Ultron. And I thought it would be kind of cool. I want to do like blue glow on him. And you can use the same sort of process that I'm going to do for blue with pretty much any color you want. What I do is I paint an off-white. Now I don't use a pure white. I use like a very yellow. And then the color of my choice, I thin down with a little bit of water. And I just carefully paint over the off-white. Now what the off-white does is it kind of gives a nice light foundation to work from for your glows. Now if I want this to be hot red glow, I'd use like yellow at this stage. I would put a yellow in there, and then I'll talk about each step as we go along. I'm going to let this dry. Alright, once that's dry, I'm going to switch to an ink. Now inks are very thin, very highly pigmented paints, and I'm going to use a turquoise. And if I was doing, say I was doing hot fire, this is where I'd add my reds. If I was doing green, I'd probably start with a yellow and then add like a really dark green. Purple, I'd probably start with pink and then go with the purple ink. And like I said, any color you want, you can use the same philosophy. Kind of paint the base white, add a light color that's kind of your main body color, then add a dark ink. I'm going to put a little bit of my base blue. This is a very light blue, nice soft blue. And I'm going to put a little bit of white in there. I'm going to sharpen my brush. I sharpen my brush by just twisting it. Just put a little line right where we want the glow to really read. Very quick, very simple. Just to give that heat, because things radiate heat from the center. At low point. And the hotter it gets, the whiter it gets. Just reframe it just like that. Now we got a nice, simple, quick glow on our ultra. So remember, you can use that technique, you can use that same philosophy on any type of glow you want. You can do red glow, yellow glow, green glows are always fun to do. I like a good green glow, and blue glows. Just lay down a nice white foundation, put in your main color, use a little ink. Might be something new to you, but it's a really fun thing to play with. Really pigmented, real powerful. And do the dark outline, and just put that little bit of hotness right back in the center. So I hope you found that enjoyable and informative, and keep enjoying PAX, and until next time, we'll catch you later. Bye, heroes.
Hi, I'm Ren, one of the developers of Unpacking, the upcoming title from Australian indie studio Witchbeam. Unpacking is a Zen puzzle game about the familiar experience of pulling possessions out of boxes and fitting them into a new home. Part item Tetris, part home decoration, you are invited to create a satisfying living space while learning clues about the life you're unpacking. Over the course of 8 house moves, you are given a chance to experience a sense of intimacy with a character you never see and a story you're never told. You can play the first 2 stages of Unpacking right now in our demo, available through Steam only during PAX Online. Look forward to the full game in 2021.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Lost Omens announcement panel. I'm Luis Loza. I'm a Pathfinder developer working at Paizo, working on the Lost Omens books line. And I have with me another fellow developer, Ron Lundeen.
Hi, I'm Ron Lundeen. I work on the Pathfinder adventure paths and sort of orchestrate a lot of the stories that we have to tell over multiple parts. It's thrilling for me to be working on the adventure line. One of the things that's very exciting is the many different authors that I could work with to do the freelancing. One of whom is here, Ali Bustian.
Hi, I'm Ali Bustian. I am a freelance tabletop game designer. I work on a lot of things. And lately a good few of them have been for Paizo. So now I'm here.
Yeah, Ali's done a lot of great work for some of the things we're about to tell you today. So let's just get right into them. As I mentioned, I work on the Lost Omens line, which is really has a focus on our campaign setting for Pathfinder, the World of Galarian, the Age of Lost Omens. And today we're here to announce the next book in the line, which is coming in June 2021. It's The Lost Omens Mwangi Expanse. It's a huge book. We're looking close to over 300 pages at this point, talking about a particular region in our world, the Mwangi Expanse, which is inspired by a lot of non-European folklore. A lot of it has origins with folklore from Africa and other locations. And it's just a really great place that we haven't had a chance to look into in the history of Pathfinder just yet. And this is our first real deep dive. We've looked at it before here and there, but this is the first time we've given it so much word count, so many pages that, you know, it's time. We figured we like this place a lot. Let's take a look at it. So like I said, it's coming June 2021. And what can you expect in a book like this? Well, we're going to go into a lot of what makes the Mwangi Expanse the Mwangi Expanse. And that starts off with the history of the Mwangi. We talk about the origins of magic in the current day through the help of individual figures like Old Mage Jatembe, but even cut back into even older things like the rise of the serpent folk during that time and things like that. And then from there, we start talking about the present day Mwangi Expanse, and we go into different things like the people and the culture that are there, and we take a deep dive into lots of the different groups that exist in there. We talk about all the different human ethnicities, elven ethnicities, dwarven ethnicities, things like that exist in the book. And actually, Ali was very helpful with these particular sections. Ali, you did work on all of the elves and the Sango halflings. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what writing that was like and what your inspirations were for that?
Yeah. For the Mwalaje elves, I really tried to pull from what it's like being a part of a diaspora. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm Black. I pulled a little bit from my experience of trying to find my history, especially for the Alage. And then where do I put this? Because no one else wrote it down. So now I have to write it down. So I then pulled from scarification and tattooing for recording history and writing down everything that you can, anywhere that you can. And I also pulled a lot from my grandfather for them, because he was the impetus for trying to figure out where exactly am I from? What is my history? And then how do I remember it? Let's see, Ikije elves. A lot of the Ikije elves were already established for, oh gosh, I can't remember the adventure path.
Age of Ashes.
Yes, Age of Ashes.
Yep. Cult of Cinders, the second adventure there.
Yeah. So I tried to build on top of that, read through that section, I don't know how many times, and then tried to pull out what would make a kind of militaristic, but not really, just very strictly disciplined with a focus on combat kind of society. And for that, I actually pulled from Black Panther. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But trying to make a group that was very focused on how do we protect and defend ourselves when we know that there's something very dangerous and scary out there. And then surprisingly, I pulled from Amish culture. I I gave them a rum springer, basically. So that's something to look forward to when you read that section. And then for the Calijals, they were a little bit harder for me. Trying to write a group that wanted to, I guess, go out and see things more, but also not really see them, more like the way journalists are supposed to be, where you observe, but you're not a part of things. And then use that knowledge to then protect themselves. And yeah, I didn't feel entirely comfortable pulling just straight things from different African cultures. So I tried to put my experiences in with, I guess, kind of a aesthetic veneer, but really it's built on top of experiences that I've had. And then the Songo Elves, I kind of went the entire opposite direction. I pulled a lot from Caribbean culture, specifically, especially with the Songo having a big focus on stick fighting and like carnival. It's not called carnival, but you'll see soon. They have like a carnival style of celebration with a giant stick fighting tournament, and stick fighting is a huge, huge part of their culture. And for that, I actually asked another friend of mine, the Rising Tides on Twitter, also known as Brandon O'Brien. And he helped me build a culture that felt real and true to the Caribbean roots that I had wanted to bring into them. But that wasn't just take a sticker, slap it on, and call it something else.
That's great.
So,
yeah, and that's I think an approach that we like to do a lot here with Paizo's. Take inspiration from, give it interesting twists, and make it our own there. In addition to the people and the culture, we also focus a lot on the religions of the Mwangi Expanse. We talk about the deities that you might know already that are prominent there, including new ones. And from there, we give a focus on the geography of the region, and a lot of the cities get a write-up. So you'll learn about the cities like Nantambu and Mazali that you might have heard about before. And this is another part where you helped us out here. One of the only nations that exists within that region is the recently changed nation of Vidrian. Ali, what did you provide for that?
For Vidrian, I figured I would write it since I wrote the iconic hero, I guess, for the area.
Avernaeus in
Avernaeus. I didn't want to try and pronounce it because I always say Avernus.
From Lost Omens Legends, right?
Yeah.
That's everything tying together in the books. That's great.
Yeah. For it, I tried to pull a lot from various rebellions and then what happened afterwards, because that's the really important part, and that's what makes Vidrian what it is. What happens after a rebellion is done and you start cleaning things up, what grows out of it. So there's a little bit of French Revolution in there, like Caribbean revolutions, and then a little bit of my own, like what I would like to
Your own revolution.
What I would like to see from a revolution, should one happen, which is a more representative government, like investment into infrastructure and like trying to make sure that the city works. But of course, because people are people, it's not going to be perfect. And that was another big thing that I wanted to bring in, that just because it's fantasy, it's not going to be perfect.
Yeah. But it does, like you said, let us kind of plan and hope and fantasize about what could be and things like that. So beyond that, the final section of the book introduces us to a lot of the monsters in the Mwangi Expanse. Some of these are old favorites, some of these are brand new, and it's a lot of what you would expect in a setting book. It just happens to be a huge dive. When we give you 300 pages of the Mwangi Expanse, that means we give you a lot of material for each of these. I think each of the elf sections, each of them got 10 pages each or something like that. So it's a lot of material coming. But in addition to that, we're also coming with a lot of new rules that in the book here. It's not just all setting material. As much as I love that, some people do want to see how you can play characters from the Mwangi Expanse beyond just knowing the history and the culture. You want some rules to back that up. And to help out with that, we have a whole boatload of new ancestries, 6 new ancestries that we're presenting here. Some of these are ones that people have been asking for. So those include things like the Anati, and ones that we've teased before in the World Guide, like the Kunrasu and Goloma and the Shisk. And there are some that are old favorites that we're trying to bring back, like the Gripply, and ones that I don't know if anyone expected this, but I think they're great to have, and they fit right in, like the Knoll. So, those are the 6 to expect: Anati, Kunrasu, Knoll, Goloma, Gripply, and Shisk. And Ali, again, you helped us out here by bringing the Kunrasu from just 1 or 2 sentences in the World Guide to a whole full-fledged ancestry. What was that like?
That was a lot. My main inspiration actually was an episode of Teen Titans where oh my god, and my mind is just blank. But Coriander, Starfire. Wow, why can I remember Coriander but not Starfire? Starfire goes into a cocoon, and from that I was like, okay, let's just blow this up as much as humanly possible.